Greetings and welcome, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to episode 336 of the Words About Games podcast, the weekly gaming podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy K. Alexander, joined this week by the world's #1 Catristan, Daffy Moody.
I am that, but in honor of Jay Briscoe. Reach for the sky, boy.
I don't.
You won't know that reference, but trust me.
I'm there with you.
Yeah. I knew Scott would understand that reference.
I got it, yeah.
Well, we didn't record last week, so I couldn't say anything.
No, it's true, we didn't. No. That was weird.
It was a lazy Thursday. It was weird.
It was a lazy Thursday. It was a very lazy Thursday. And we're also joined by Scott Sedman.
Hello. Great to be here. Talking videos again. Talking video games again after I don't know how many years.
Just when you thought they were out, Moody pulls you back in.
I thought I'd dust you off, Scott, and get you in here.
Well, now's the perfect time. I'm happy.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to talk about, so I'm excited.
I got ice cream.
Oh, God. Is it salted caramel?
No.
Oh, thank God.
It's Canterbury Daily Milk Caramel.
The last time he had ice cream on the podcast, it was salted caramel, and he had a fight with Joe that lasted about 15 minutes.
I mean, I have some salted caramel Twixes downstairs if we need to have a fix of salted caramel.
I don't think we're allowed to.
Speaking of Joe Medforce,
No.
Joe, how do you feel when Avatar: The Way of Water crossed the $2 billion mark, not only becoming the 6th movie to cross $2 billion, but just shows how objectively wrong you were about that movie, boy. You should put your head in shame and stick your head in the sand and just hide away for the rest of your life, because I haven't seen you since you were last on. Is that a coincidence, Joe? Is it a coincidence that you're afraid to come on?
You're overlooking something, mate. It's the Zoe Saldana factor.
It's fucking hell a Zoe Saldana
It
factor.
It is.
Hell yeah, it is. You have her in 4 $2 billion movies. It's like even a James Cameron factor. 3 $2 billion movies as well.
It's all about Zoe.
It's all about the Zoe. It's like, she's amazing. Do you want to know even an incredibly interesting fact? Avatar: The Way of Water has been #1 at the box office for 6 weeks in a row. The last movie to do that was Avatar, which went 7 weeks in a row. And you want to know even more interesting, the thing that lasted longer than that was even Titanic. It's like James Cameron, he's just coughing out movies for everybody where everyone goes to see him. It's just the facts, Joe Madforst. Sonic 2 sucks. It was the worst movie of 2022.
Whoa.
Hang your head in shame.
Sonic, great.
It was not.
I loved Sonic 2. I watched it with my mother. It was very nice.
It was an insult. It was an insult to the eyes for me.
Some would think it's a glorious movie show, yeah, but I feel like it's Whereabouts Games.
I'm sorry, are we done? Yeah, you'll never eat ice cream on the podcast again. How are you, Scott? How's it going?
I'm very grand.
Awesome.
Lots of exciting things happening in my life. Just kind of making a year of just exploring myself, which could be taken out of context. I meant it in a good way. And yeah, just genuinely just trying to make the most of life. We don't have much of it, so why spend time making myself upset and just travel, talk video games, talk movies, whatever I want to do, really. And it's kind of exciting, it's kind of scary, but we'll see how things play out.
That's awesome.
Let's just hope in an amazing way, because that all sounds awesome, Scott. I want nothing but the happiest and best for you and everything like that. But the world is in a terrible place right now, as we all know, ladies and gentlemen. But we have a savior. It's flying close by to the planet right now, or soon. Hopefully, a rock will hit off it and divert it into the planet and just kill us all. And then just start again. Let the planet start again.
Let's reboot Earth.
Reboot, yeah. Reboot the Planet Earth. Planet Earth 2.0.
That's what James Gunn's announcement's going to be. I'm destroying the Earth.
Destroying the Earth. Well, he broke all the nerds' hearts who loved the Snyderverse. Oh, boo-hoo.
So we've got exploring yourself and having a really great year and total annihilation. Cool.
Yeah,
That leaves a lot. You know what? That leaves a lot of ground in the middle for me to cover.
yeah.
My girl Katra would do it that way.
Cadra wasn't supposed to be a role model when she broke the universe. You know, she wasn't the good guy. Spoilers for She-Ra, I guess.
Watch that show, people. It's phenomenal. Like my boss would say, it's ace.
It's ace.
Yeah. Anything he likes, he says it's ace.
It's ace.
Yeah.
It's ace.
That's ace. That's ace.
Okay. I see it. I hear it now.
Yeah.
I really don't know how to follow up Total Annihilation from an asteroid. Like,
Be exploring yourself, annihilating the Earth.
Moody's just gonna strip naked and run towards the asteroid, saying, "Take me, take me, let's go."
While listening to RRR's Natu Natu. Yeah, baby.
I haven't seen that film yet.
It's incredible.
I've heard really good things. It's
It is so good.
one I want.
I haven't stopped listening to the soundtrack.
Nice. It's that
Weird
weird pop.
bastards were snubbed at the Oscars. Fuck the Oscars. They snubbed our.
Oh, now you fuck the Oscars guy. Now you fuck the
What?
Oscars guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they snubbed the movie. They didn't snub an idiot on a freaking video games show.
Oh man, Sylvian.
I really shouldn't eat ice cream on the podcast.
No, you really shouldn't eat ice cream on the
Drink some
podcast.
of
I
that,
wish you wouldn't.
really. I love
Like,
it.
The sugar adrenaline just goes to my head and it's like, say anything.
you get a sugar rush, and then you're like a 6-year-old child who's just eaten an entire bag of sweets, and I really don't know how to handle that. But at least you just start a fight with our guest this time, so you know we're making progress.
We do that in person. It's fine.
I mean, we do that all the time anyway.
EGX 2023. If it happens, you're going down.
Interesting.
It's still called EGX. I don't even know if it's called EGX.
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah. We'll get Moody to send it down for work, and then we'll come down, and then I'll get the camera.
Sumo wrestling. I saw it in B&M for £13. Let's do it. Best £13 I could spend in my life.
Brilliant. And that'll just be the podcast for that week. I'll be down with that.
That's content. That's good
content. That's good content.
That is content. Yeah.
It's like
Should we
Go on.
go on? No, go on.
No, you go.
I was going to say, should we get on with the content?
That's what I was going to say.
Great minds.
Don't. That's not what's our excuse? Yeah. This is the show. You can clearly tell I haven't updated the show notes. Every Friday, you can get a video version of the show on youtube.com/wordsaboutgamesuk or an audio version on a variety of platforms, including Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. There's timestamps in the description wherever you choose to get your podcasts. And if you'd like to support the show directly, you can buy us a coffee over at coffee.com/wordsaboutgames. And lastly, if you want to hang out with us while we play some games, head over to twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. I've heard it on the grapevine that someone on this podcast is going to be playing Dead Space again.
Oh yeah, yeah.
on Twitch.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, baby.
When the remake drops at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Well, actually, I don't know when this goes out. Actually, so 4 p.m. tomorrow might not be true, but yeah, on the launch day, I'm excited to like Dead Space is one of my favorite games of all time, like
Awesome.
hand down. I love that franchise to bits, and as much as I'm very anti pre-order, I've gone and done it to get the pre-install. So I come back from my therapy at like 3:30. I've got time to digest what I just talked about for an hour, and then boom, straight into a survival horror on a spaceship, and we'll just keep going until whatever. And then they've already announced that New Game Plus has a secret ending, so
Yeah, I heard about that.
that's I'm
That's
just so
an
excited for
interesting
Dead Space.
combination, Scott, you did. So you're going to therapy, and you're coming home to digest it. Then you're going into a fucking crazy horror game that is apparently like they've got like they're doing the God of War thing where it's from the back constantly. It's more scary than the freaking first, than the original was, and you're going from therapy into a horror game. So what, you're getting yourself ready for therapy the next time?
I guess, right? I'm gonna have something to talk about. Can't just keep telling them I was hit by a kid and then them having the hit by a car, not hit by a kid, hit by a car as a kid and having them laugh at me.
Kid in a car.
It could have been a kid in
Knuckles
a car.
over the top of the steering wheel.
And have them laugh at me when I tell them that. So
Some might say, lady, that playing Dead Space is therapy.
Will classic songs like Let Me Out, I don't want to be here anymore come back? Who knows? Who knows?
All I know is it's the second time I'm going to get to see you play Dead Space. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Boomerang, do not fucking let me down or I'm buying the fucker.
Well, they've sent me it, so...
Well, I've got sent it. I have not received an email saying they've sent it yet.
You haven't received an email saying they've sent it?
No, but it's in the section of saying it's...
That happened to me, but not with Dead Space, with Forspoken, because I was like, I actually want to try Forspoken, but they never sent it, and I got Dead Space.
Yeah, right
Forspoken and Dead Space, very similar games of genre.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, it's in games to rent right now, but I have not received an email saying...
Oh.
It's on the way. Either way out, I'll just buy it if I need to. That's no problem whatsoever.
I mean, the price was shocking when I was like looked at the prices of them. I was like, oh,
Full price, right?
It's. I was just like, oh man,
70 quid, man.
Yeah, I was just
All
like,
right.
games
I'll go
are
out and get
expensive.
it. I'll go and get out it. I'll drive somewhere and get it physical. Come back, play it, then return the fucker.
Smart.
Doesn't work, mate.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work, mate. That's weird because you streamed the entire game from start to finish.
I played it on Xbox, mate.
Yeah.
This is a PlayStation version.
Oh yeah. No, it didn't work, so I just bought it on my Xbox.
They're both Blu-rays. What do you mean they don't work on?
This is for Switch, right?
Oh man.
Oh,
To be fair, I'd love Dead Space on the Switch.
No, you wouldn't.
Oh, no, it would run terribly, but I'd still have it, just so I could play it on an aeroplane or something.
That'd be amazing.
That's nice. What you play? Well, the last time I was playing Persona 5 on a plane, and the woman was just like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
Steam Deck, I'll play it on that fucker.
I don't have a Steam
I
Deck.
love a Steam Deck. If only just so I could play PC games again that weren't like... If a PC game isn't pixel art these days, my PC won't run it. That's what it feels like. I looked at the minimum recommended specs for Forspoken just because
crazy high.
Just because like the news thing came up, like I was never going to play it on PC, and I just looked at them and I went, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, crazy high. It's like, is it Crisis again? Like what?
It's the new Crisis. All right, should we dive in? How much ice cream have you got left, Moody?
It's almost finished.
Okay, cool. Well, if it's finished by the time I finish reading this, that'll be good because I need you to calm down. We're getting into the actual podcast now. I need you to calm down again. It's not the mid-February podcast. It's just nice and chill, nice and chill. Don't start fighting with people.
What do you mean Dead Space isn't the game of the year already?
All right, let's go. It's time for the main story. And the main story this week, Sony's new PS5. I've killed Sylveon.
No!
Sony's new PS5 controller looks like a big leap for accessibility on PlayStation. This is from Michael McWhirter over at Polygon. He writes, Sony revealed a brand new controller for its PlayStation 5 sometime in the past. A device called Project Leonardo that aims to bring improved accessibility to players on PlayStation. The device, which can be paired with an existing DualSense controller or used on its own, is currently in development and does not have a release date or price. Project Leonardo was built, SIE Senior Vice President Hideaki Nishino said on the PlayStation blog, quote, to address common challenges faced by many players with limited motor control, including difficulty holding a controller for long periods, accurately pressing small clusters of buttons or triggers, or positioning thumbs and fingers optimally on a standard controller, end quote. The controller includes, quote, a robust kit of swappable components, including a variety of analog stick caps and buttons in different shapes and sizes, end quote. The new controller includes extensible button mapping and multiple control profiles. It's also expandable via 4 3.5mm auxiliary ports that support, quote, a variety of external switches and third-party accessibility accessories. This enables users to integrate specialty switches, buttons, or analog sticks with the Project Leonardo controller, end quote. Sony says it consulted with accessibility experts like Able Gamers and Special Effect and military veteran support group Stack Up to design the new controller. A video introducing the project features members from those groups and developers from PlayStation Studios explaining more about the controller. Project Leonardo is part of an ongoing effort at Sony to bring increased accessibility to PlayStation games and platforms. Over the past decade, developers like Insomniac Games, Naughty Dog, Santa Monica Studio, and Guerrilla Games have added and iterated upon accessibility features that offer options for players with limited motor control, vision, and hearing disabilities, and motion sensitivity. Last year's God of War Ragnarok included more than 70 accessibility features that let players tailor the experience to meet their needs. Sony's new controller also helps the PlayStation make a catch-up to efforts that Microsoft brought to Xbox and Windows PC in 2018 with the release of the adaptive controller. That hardware, which costs $99.99, is compatible with a variety of add-ons and peripherals. Accessibility. I feel like we talked about it a lot last year, but we never really had a talk about it last year between ourselves.
Yeah, we always championed it, and like all the conversation always happened. Like I think a lot when Elden Ring came around and everything like that, because obviously people say no easy mode, stop being babies type of thing. Just get good at the game. Shut up, you pathetic people.
Yeah, Moody, just get good at the game. That's all I do.
Yeah, just don't be disabled.
I love how I told him not to calm down and not start a fight, and then the first thing he says, I've just gone, let's fucking go. Come on, right now.
You're wrong.
I'm crazy, Amy. No,
What do you mean add an easy mode to my Souls game? Gamer hardcore. No, shut up. Let people enjoy what they want to enjoy.
Absolutely.
See, finally, some sense on the podcast.
Moody, I've made 2 videos about Soulsborne games, and in both of them, I've angered the Souls community by saying they should have an easy mode.
Yeah, I mean, even if you didn't put that in there, you probably would have still angered them somehow. You just have that way about you. In a nice way.
Your take doesn't agree with my take.
Just have that way about me. Wait, what? I know this is an important topic and everything, but hang on, what way do I have about me?
You put yourself in that one, Moody.
So, Sony have created a PS5
Yeah,
controller
that Yeah, they are. I don't know how similar this is going to be to the adaptive controller. I did get to use that once at EGX. It's way bigger than I thought it was going to be. Like, I know I say that every time we talk about it. Like, I just remember looking at it going, this is fucking massive.
Yeah, it reminds me of, because I actually have one. It's the Wii balance board. Like that's like what it reminds me of. When I pull it out and I'm just like, you are very big.
It's a Series S, isn't it?
It kind of looks like one.
Well, yeah, that's why I think a lot of people even got confused by it when they revealed the Series S. So, wait, isn't that the accessibility controller? What the hell?
They're making that handheld?
Yeah.
Trust me, I can't hold that in one hand.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, I thought we could use this as like a big accessibility discussion. So yeah, go for it, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret I have one hand. So it does impact me when games don't feature accessibility issues. It's something I've parroted on about ever since we found it out of Lives. It was one of the key things I would do when going to talk with PR and press and stuff like that, was just being like, yeah, but okay, that's cool and all, but what about your accessibility options? And since that time, and looking at where we are now in the game industry, it's got a lot better. Things have changed for the better, and it's really good to see companies like Sony and Microsoft really get into it. And it's not just their take on it. They do partner with Special Effects, who I've had close relationships in the past, and they do understand what it means, and that it's not just a one-size-fit-all, this is the one solution. It's very much a spectrum of what people can and can't do. And so to try and put all of that into one bit of hardware it's almost an impossible task. But they have it in such a way where it's modular enough and can support third-party peripherals, where it makes it so even if this bit of kit, Project Leonardo, it doesn't specifically work for, say, my needs, there will be a way around that, and you can work with partners like Special Effect to find something that does work for that. And I think that is something that really shouldn't go understated. It's a big push, and as mentioned in the article as well, the game dev side of things, people are being more inclusive. There's a lot of cool features getting put into games now, and as Moody joked about, it's like, yeah, an easy mode in Souls, right? It's not a reducing of difficulty. It's allowing somebody who might struggle with that type of game, or just maybe sequencing, or maybe reaching the buttons in time, whatever their reasoning for wanting an easy difficulty, just to experience the story and world. Because why should anyone be alienated from that? Elden Ring is one of the coolest worlds I've ever experienced, and just watching it doesn't do it justice as playing it and exploring it. And so if you have to have an invincibility mode so someone can enjoy that, doesn't take away from what anyone else is doing.
Yeah, it's not like my experience would have been impacted, in my 80 hours of Elden Ring if you would have played it differently, because you would have got to play it, right? It would have actually positively impacted my experience, because we could have got to sit here and talk about how cool Elden Ring is. And cut Moody out of the conversation altogether, because he doesn't like those games.
No, it's not that.
I know. I'm setting you up for.
It's like one of my favorite games last year, Tunic. Tunic has an invincibility mode in it, and I only used it for when the bosses, I felt like this is getting a little bit too difficult for me. I need that little bit of help so I can continue enjoying this game. Because if I didn't have that and I couldn't get by the bosses or anything like that, I probably would have put that game down, and I would have been struggling to have a top 10 even more than I did last year. And everything like that. So it's like, it's not the arguments. I always say, I'll stick by it, and the words may be too aggressive, but I say it is. It's the people are pathetic who argue against accessibility. They absolutely are pathetic for me, and that's why when I hear the discourse when it comes to, for the most part, let's be frank, it is always the Soulsborne type of games, the From Software type of games. It is always those ones that get you get the game, the quote unquote gamers saying new, and then you get people who just like me, who has incredibly slow hand-eye coordination, where I struggle just to keep up sometimes for it. And like Scott, like yourself, you have only got one hand and everything like that, but there are options out there like Xbox have and what PlayStation are bringing out that could help a lot of people and everything. And it's like, to have people arguing against people from stopping people from playing a game makes no sense, because like you just said, Amy, all three of us could be literally talking about Elden Ring, saying that was an incredible game, and I played it in how I wanted, and I didn't lose anything from it. Scott played how he wanted it, didn't lose anything from it. Amy played how she wanted to play it. You didn't lose anything from it. That's what we all want to be doing. We want to be talking about games in such an incredible way, not bitching about them, bitching about a community, bitching about idiot, pathetic gamers who just want to fight against something for some idiotic reason, for no reason at all, but it doesn't hurt them or harm them whatsoever. It would arguably improve them, because it's more people they get to talk about their favorite franchise, their favorite type of games, It just makes no sense. And so when I heard PlayStation finally were doing this, I always thought they were going to do an accessibility controller, but they were obviously going to do it the PlayStation way and everything. And now PlayStation and Xbox, but PlayStation championed incredible accessibility when Last of Us 2 came out, and obviously Last of Us 1 remake last year, along with God of War Ragnarok last year, and probably with every other exclusive they're going forward with. And Microsoft has done the same. Microsoft if I remember rightly, didn't the last Forza game won Best Accessibility a few years ago?
Yeah.
And that had incredible accessibility options. There's no doubt about it. Yes, me, Amy, and Elf, we argued against it because there was a literal game that you can play blind. Which is incredible.
One of my favorite games of the year, that as well.
Yeah, that's incredible to hear. Yeah, that's incredible to champion. And I don't even think it was in the option for that year, which I think it upset us even more about it. I think that's just wasn't even in the thing for the Video Game Awards, which is just always just which is always a sore subject in general. I'm not going to go there when it comes to the video game awards, but Monkey D. Luffy, that fucking asshole. I'll never forgive him for that. No, but yeah, we just want to be champion games. We want to be champion everything and whatnot. And this is a great thing. Shout out to PlayStation. Shout out to Xbox already having something and everything. So bring it on. That's what I say.
I do want to add, though, to this conversation is just because Sony and Microsoft have embraced it, it's not an excuse to not have them in your games. I think it's I think it comes from a mental like this is solving an issue that again isn't solved at game dev level, but it can be mitigated quite a bit. The amount of games that come out in nowadays that still don't have ability to just remap a controller however you want, it's infuriating. It's the first thing I always check when I go into a game is can I change keybinds, just because of how I play. Thankfully, I have the Pro controller, which lets me do that through the Xbox system. But there's no reason that shouldn't be there in the game itself. And it's one thing that I tried to get started a long time ago, and obviously it was a pipe dream. But I still think the industry needs to come together and implement is like a set standard of what accessibility options should be in a game.
I've been saying that. I said that last year.
It's you can, like if you want to be wanky about it, call it the accessibility accords. But essentially, it just is a thing where it's like subtitles. Okay, that is a must in every game, and it's okay. Well, you have to have this, that, and that version of subtitles. And if you want to go the extra step, that's fine. And you start with the bigger companies, and then you make it because obviously indie games don't have as much resources. That's a different conversation. But these companies that pour millions and millions and millions into advertising, you're telling me they couldn't put a rebind in? No, I know for a fact that's incorrect. So it is great that these are here, but it's also not an excuse to not implement them in game.
Yeah, like, Microsoft did all the work, so now I don't have to do anything in this game.
Because not everyone can afford these Pro controllers. They're expensive.
Yeah, we do that. Moody, me and you, we're on it, right?
Yeah, we've been championing this every time.
Let's start a fight. Who do you know? Who do you start a fight with right now?
I mean, there is a developer that I could name and shame. I'm not going to, but it was at AGX, my favorite place on the planet. And it was just a simple question about, hey, what are your accessibility options? And I went through 3 different people there, and then got no answer.
Awesome. We'll start with that.
And so I was just like, well, that's concerning.
That does sound concerning. Right.
I was like, okay, that's fine if it's not in the demo, but you should know what you're doing to make this game accessible. But again, that was an elder time. We've come a long way in the game industry in those times. And again, I have to commend how far the game industry has come from when it was there. And it was like even worse before that. You go to PS2 days and you're like, oh my God. I don't even know how I gamed as a kid. If I go back now and play with a GameCube controller, I'll be like, what the hell do you do? Because it's just so simple now. It's like, okay, everything that needs to be on the left side is on my left side, and my hand is just there to move around and smashy buttons. So God knows how I was playing Mario Kart as a kid. Struggling would be the answer.
I mean, I've never been able to do very good at Mario Kart. That's why I never play it. But yeah, no, like to circle back a bit to the Souls conversation. To talk from me for a second, it's like what you're talking about there is equity of challenge, right? It's like you could have a slider in a Souls game that you could just move up and down, and that would increase or decrease the difficulty. But like the thing that really impressed, I know both me and Moody, because we explored these options while we were streaming the Forza Horizon 5, while we were streaming the game. It was like all of the different ways that you could just change the gameplay, right? Like you could slow it down, you could do all this other stuff. And I remember, I think I even said like, man, this would be cool in a Souls game. Like, because if you could tweak the settings, not just necessarily say like, oh, there's an invincibility mod so everybody can experience the game. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, like that's a cool thing. But like if you could tweak the settings so that that me, Moody, and Scott are all having the same experience You know what I mean? We're all having the same experience, so we're all enjoying the game in the same way, but differently. Like, that to me, that's like the holy grail of like video game accessibility, right? Like, the game is like I think one of the things about Souls games is the fact that like it is about overcoming that adversity, right? But because the challenge is the same for everybody else, some people aren't going to be able to do that. Whereas if you can modify the game in a more specific way, like, to me, I love that idea. Like, that would be so cool.
And I think it is a perception of people, like, as you grow older, you see that. Because I used to be of the mindset, it's like, oh, don't add easy mode to games. Why? It doesn't need it. And then it's like, which is weird, right, coming from me. But then you understand the actual argument. It's not easy mode for easy mode. It's allowing more people to experience what you enjoy. And how is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
And if you want to just be cynical about it, it's more money for the developers to then continue to make more of the thing you like. Like, if you just want to boil it down, you are literally saying, we don't want the people who are making these things we like to have more money to make the things we like. Like, if you want to just go from a cynical perspective, that's what that argument is saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because, I mean, that's how companies speak, right? Money.
Yeah.
Just like, you could have sold a lot more copies. Hey, Elden Ring, maybe you even could have outsold Call of Duty last year if you'd... if all these people could play the game instead of just watching the game.
Yeah, it's a true point, right? None of these companies would be doing what they're doing if there wasn't a market for them to be doing it.
Exactly.
If it didn't make financial sense to be investing in this, they wouldn't be doing it. And it's through people like Special Effect who championed for so long. And there are great people in these companies, don't get me wrong, that also champion that. I'm not trying to say, oh, no, everyone was oblivious and ignorant of it. And there are people in there who will genuinely care. But it takes a lot to make changes like this. And the waves finally started to happen. And the changes are coming. And they're going to continue to come. Because when it comes to accessibility, everyone's on the same page. At least for the people who want to progress it, right? You can ignore the gamers. Because that argument is mute. It's literally mute. It's like nobody cares about what you actually think. Keep shouting into the void. So when it comes to that, I'm sure if they wanted to, like, Sony would be asking Microsoft, and their teams would be working together on it, because it's not one of those things where it's off closed, if you know what I mean. Like, because they're all partners, they're all sharing, they're all working towards it. Obviously, the patterns and the design are going to be different, but how did you get X to work and Y? It'd be shared.
Oh, definitely. Well, I mean, didn't Microsoft also team up with Special Effect to make their controller as well? Yeah, so I imagine a lot of the information that's being shared is the same thing.
Yeah. I think the common trait will be how they connect with third-party things. So it'll be like through the 3.5mm jacks and stuff. I imagine that's like just like that. To me, is the incredible part. They can put whatever bits and bobs they want on it. I mean, Microsoft is literally just 2 foot pedals. Well, they're not even foot pedals. I use them as foot pedals.
Sure.
They're not foot pedals. But yeah, it's so literally it's like I can attach anything, and anyone in their home can make it as long as you can connect it through 3.5mm. Yeah. And you can go onto these sites and people will make them for you. And they are relatively inexpensive. You can get like little buttons and triggers and toggles for like $20 or whatever you want to spend. And then you can go up to all the ways where you have these full rigs and stuff. And, you know, like that's from one little bit of kit that costs $100. That's where it goes. So as long as Sony don't price themselves out of that market by saying, oh, it's $200, it's like, well, that's not accessible, is it? Like, but I understand this new tech is it's a tough one, right? You have to price it at a point where it makes sense to be a product.
Sure.
But it's also got to be at that price point where somebody like myself, or with a disability, or with a solution that can be solved by this Project Leonardo, can comfortably afford it and move forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I do.
I couldn't drop 200 quid on it and it, like, you know what I mean, and then not be able to afford anything else. It's like,
sure,
you've got to be smart
games
about
to play.
Yeah, like cost of living crisis is real. You've got to be smart, and I don't think Sony are gonna do that. I think they understand what this is for, and that it needs to come in at a price that's relatively affordable.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not saying everyone can afford $100. I know circumstances are different, but generally, right, if you match your competitor, maybe it's a little bit more because it does seem more modular. It does seem like there's actually peripherals built into this thing, which is awesome. It's awesome to see. And yeah, it's something I'd love to get my hand on and really experiment with, because I think it is a powerful tool in and of itself. And if it is anything like the Microsoft version where you do have to go out and get all of those bits and bobs that you need for it, then I think it could be a real game changer. The thing that I would like to see is maybe if they work on each other's devices. I think it's very unlikely they will, but
yeah,
I'm sure they'll both work on PC, which would be nice, at the very minimum.
Yeah. So
yeah, sadly, PlayStation are not going to allow Xbox product onto their system.
No, I know, but I think it's more of a USB thing, and if it could recognize that it's just a peripheral.
No, yeah, I think it is a USB thing. I don't disagree with what you're saying there, but one thing that's that PlayStation also, if they could get around that USB thing, which Microsoft deep down probably could if they wanted to, PlayStation would still just come up with some other thing to say.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, yeah,
Like
I understand that, but like in a perfect world, either of these devices could be used on any device you want, right? Like it's yeah. I hope we get to a stage where that can happen, because it doesn't matter what bit of kit you're using; it's a kit to design for you to be able to play games on a platform you want, and at the end of the day, everyone benefits from that. If more people are playing games, there's more people in that industry. There's more people consuming, more money at the end of the day.
Yeah, even if you plug the Xbox controller into the PlayStation, you're still going to have to buy the PlayStation games and play in the PlayStation ecosystem.
Yeah. Completely agree with you. So sadly, because how PlayStation's stance is with it, Microsoft probably won't even allow the PlayStation one, even though Phil Spencer's saying all the things of that. We want to open up boundaries and doors and everything like that.
Lately.
But because PlayStation are going to say no, Microsoft are also going to say no. They're not going to play ball either, sadly. It's the same thing. And it's just one of those big, giant dick swinging contests between both of them, which is just really annoying when you hear billionaires arguing over...
Yeah. It's why I don't understand people championing corporates. It's why I don't understand the people who will die on a hill for a corporation. It's like, they don't care about you. You, the individual, do not matter to Microsoft or Sony.
Oh, hell yeah. No, they do not. They don't care for flying hood, but just...
So you getting into flame wars on Twitter and telling people to go die because someone dare like Last of Us 2. Like, no, stop being... Like, there's more to life than that.
Last of Us 2, best game of 2021.
Last of Us 2 was amazing. It was a genuinely phenomenal piece of media.
Last of Us 2 came out in 2020.
It's been a long 3 years, Amy. Okay.
There was like a pandemic in between that. I'll allow it.
There was a pandemic during it.
It was during it, because that was
during. Oh my god!
Yeah, it was the last.
It was 2020.
The last thing I did when I was on furlough was play The Last of Us Part 2 and review it with you, Moody.
Yeah.
Phenomenal piece. I love The Last of Us world. I love, and again, like you said, that was very good for accessibility as well. And inclusivity as well, if you want to go and take it that next step further. I know it's a different conversation, but I feel like it was a very important piece of media, not just a video game, and that's what I keep coming back to with The Last of Us.
Oh, it was. It had a really diverse cast of characters in the game, and it really helped me enlarge my block list on Twitter, so it was a win-win.
That's so sad, but I don't mean to laugh at it.
It's funny. It's funny.
It is sad, but like me and Amy were talking about it, we can't wait for the HBO Last of Us Season 2 to happen. Oh yeah, the whole conversation's coming back soon, baby, in about a year or two.
What's great is now my non-gamer friends who never experienced any of the Last of Us 2 controversy can experience it. We can all experience it together.
Yeah.
I want them to release a Last of Us Season 2 trailer, and there's just a shot of like a golf club somewhere in the trailer. And for anyone who doesn't want spoilers for Season 2, don't worry, that's all I'm going to say.
That's genius, and I love that, and I hope they do it. I think they will. I think, because I mean, it's evident that the people involved very much care about the source. Like, I mean, 2 episodes in, I don't want to buy into this whole video game myth thing because I think that's been disproven quite.
Oh yeah, the
like,
whole.
it's like, there's no better. This is the best adaptation. It's like, bro, like Arcane came out like not long ago, and that was fantastic. What do you want about? What do you want about this myth?
Arcane's its own standalone story. It doesn't touch anything of the
No,
mythos.
true. If you're talking about like a
that's for me,
true
I think
adaptation.
That's a complete. It's complete separate argument.
Well, okay,
because
Moody, the
personally-
first Resident Evil exists, all right, and Resident Evil Apocalypse, both fantastic movies.
So before this
Ban
evolves,
him
I'm
now,
not banning
ban him.
Moody,
Ban him, get him off
this is just you not missing out on social media discourse. Like there was a whole thing where everybody was saying The Last of Us finally finally breaks the video game curse, because you know, like the video game adaptation curse, where it's like Edge Runner has happened and Arcane has already happened and Castlevania has happened, and like we've had lots of good video game adaptations, but apparently The Last of Us still broke the curse somehow. That doesn't exist anymore.
I think what you're saying is completely right and everything like that. I think if I was to say that, I would be like, for the mainstream audience. That's
fair.
how I would word it. But all those other things haven't hit the mainstream, sadly, yet, which is a shame. Arcane.
Whoa, you saying Resident Evil Apocalypse wasn't a mainstream success? It didn't launch Paul W.S. Anderson's career.
Like I said, Arcane is an incredible show and everything, with a terrible villain in what's her name in it, but yeah, we've had really good show. Castlevania is really good. Cyberpunk, I really enjoyed. I listen to that song all the time, and I'm sure there's other ones I can't remember right now, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
Sonic 2 still sucks.
No.
Yep.
No. Sonic 2 is good.
It's like from good, man.
Other people
Sorry for
enjoy it,
basic.
and you don't.
No. Moody's absolutely wrong for not liking it. That is a fact of life. He's just wrong on that. That is my hill I'll die on. There you
Right
go. I'll
on
just...
everything. We already know this. This has been proven already.
Nah, it's all good, man. You're allowed to be wrong.
Maybe this is why I don't
And
watch
so
movies.
are you, Scott. So are you, mate. So are you. I'm so glad that you agree that you're wrong and that you agree that I'm right. It's all good.
I know when I make a mistake, so just being able to admit that you made a mistake is nice.
Just like this mistake, I'm going to say games we've played this week. What we've been playing, everyone?
Well, I downloaded a shadow dropped game, Hi-Fi Rush. Really good game.
Yeah, I downloaded
Really
it. I
good
haven't played
game.
it yet.
I've been hooked on it. So it's basically Sunset Overdrive meets Jet Set Radio meets Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Three things I absolutely love
Wait,
in life.
hang on, what?
Like, yeah. Like, so you take the aesthetic of Jet Set Radio.
Okay.
You take like the traversing and the combat of Sunset Overdrive, and like the way Brian Lee O'Malley writes Scott Pilgrim and that kind of meta-y, sardonic type of character.
Okay.
And that's your main character essentially. And yeah, all three of that blended in together with a fun rhythm-based action. It's I suck at it, but I love it.
Yeah. I mean, oh damn. Right. Okay. Podcast over. I don't want to play this game. It should be downloaded.
It's
It's got two things that have failed in the world of video games and movies in general. Scott's Pilgrim film failed and bombed like a crazy thing, and the freaking Sunset's Overdrive game sadly didn't even succeed. I'm not meaning that in a bad way at all. I'm literally just speaking facts here, okay? I'm not trying to be a smart ass.
Let people enjoy things.
I'm just...
What do you mean I can't enjoy 9 Inch Nails in a boss fight? What are you on about?
No, I'm not trying to be a smart ass. If I came across like that, that was not my intention.
No, I think that's fair, though.
And
I think that's
like
fair.
that. But sadly, that's what it is, though. Like, and that's the worst thing about it for this type of game, I think, for it, is that I want things to grab people and enjoy, like we were talking about earlier with the accessibility and like playing what we all three of us wanted to have a great conversation about Elden Ring.
I don't.
And everything. But it's like I want to hear that these things are going to come up and everything. And sadly, Xbox, when it comes to these type of things, have not hit it out of the park for a lot of things. Scalebound was Sunset,
still raw.
freaking And other games, I can't freaking remember. That's how bad. That's how quickly they died off really fast. And which is I don't want to hear. That's what, you know what I mean. I hope this is a great success and everything, and gets great reviews, and everyone's championing it. Go and play this game, like what you're saying, Scott, and everything. But my worry is it's because of those two things you've just said, though, at the same time.
Yeah.
Sunset's Overdrive, Scott Pilgrim, and everything like that. Scott Pilgrim has that audience. There's no doubt about that. And I always say, go love that thing and everything that you want to, that you really enjoy. But those things sadly haven't hit the thing that you want to make a game, make a game or an entertainment product to be successful. And that's what I want to champion more than anything. It's just this is a great game, guys. Scott's saying it's a great game. To everybody who listens to this podcast, go give this game a go. Give it a try and talk about it and everything, and get out there for it.
But just to counterbalance what you were just saying there, Scott literally just rocketed this game to the top of my list by saying those things. Like, if he hadn't have said it's these three things that I like, I would have been like, yeah, it looks fun. Maybe I'll get around to it. But Dead Space is arriving tomorrow, so I'll probably play that now. Dead Space is going to come through that letterbox, and I know it's one of your favorite games, Scott. So ignore this part, and I'm just going to take it, and I'm just going to go, fuck you. I've played you before, and I'm just going to be like, Hi-Fi Rush. That's where it's at. So like that works.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm just trying to say. Is like what Scott said is fantastic, and like I said, everyone who listens to this podcast, play this game. Go to people who you know don't listen to this podcast, and get them to listen to this podcast, so we can get and then champion the game even more. That's what I'm saying. It's just sadly, it's just the two things that turn me off from the game. That would turn me off from the game is those two things that, like I've just said, which sadly aren't mainstream. And I'm not saying mainstream has to be the thing.
Moody only likes mainstream things. You heard it here first.
I do like mainstream things. I admit that. The
Only likes
MCU Phase 4
mainstream
was
things.
Amazing. 5-star. Told you this.
Indie stuff. Get out of here.
Fuck the indies. That's what I always say. What? I've lost my train of thought.
Good. I'm glad you lost your train of thought.
It's like, come on.
I think, yeah, you want it to be a win for Microsoft, and I think the way they've done it hasn't let people think, right, like, so I haven't had that time to go, maybe it's not for me. I literally was just like, oh, it's available. It's something to play before Dead Space comes out. I'm going to download it, and yeah, I'll give it a try. And then I was like, oh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
There is something to like shadow drops,
that's
right? Where it's available now, because that like flicks a switch in your brain of that sort of like impulse buy thing. It's like why they have all that stuff near the checkouts in shops, right? It's like, oh, I could do with that. It's like you watch a thing and you go, oh, Hi-Fi Rush, that looks pretty cool. Maybe I'll give that a chance when it comes out. And if it comes out in like 12 months' time, you might have forgotten about it by then. But because it's the thing and it's on the thing, and you've just seen it, and it goes, you can download it and play it after the show. I think you're more likely to actually do that. Just because of the timing of it, because it's like, oh, right, it's available right now. Well, the thing looked cool, and you're at the peak of whatever your interest level is. So yeah, maybe and maybe more people will play a game because of those specific circumstances. I'm not saying they should shadow drop every game. That would be chaos.
No, God, please don't.
And The Last of Us Part 3 will be available tonight. I mean, I would have been nice if they could have done that for Hollow Knight last night, but whatever. 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
But no, like I don't like. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, don't take my thing of like not understanding what you're saying. Like, I'll be, if I was being mean to you, there'll be no question about it. I'd just be being mean to you.
You're always mean to me, Amy. I might like it. I won't lie.
I mean,
oh no.
So
the car.
I want the game to be successful for the people who made it. Like, I want every game to be successful for the people who made it. But like, I don't really give a shit. For me personally, if a game is successful or not, like the discourse around Forspoken's dialogue over the past week has actually made me more interested to play the game rather than less.
I'm actually the same with you there, Amy. Like,
yeah, right.
Everyone complaining about it.
Like, everyone's complaining about this. And I don't mean this as a dig, because I don't actually think the voice lines are that bad. Everyone complaining about this MCU-esque dialogue is just like, can you guys get a grip here?
Also, it's not an MCU thing. It's just quippy dialogue. I know it's popularized by the MCU, right? Just because that's where a lot of people touch them from. But it's like quippy dialogues existed since
Did anybody watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Right. I mean,
Firefly,
is
for
it
God's
because people don't
sakes?
want to credit Joss Whedon for having
Yeah, that
quits in
is
his show? I mean, which
awkward.
fair enough. The guy's a problematic person. Let's not give him any credit where thingy. But yeah, that's his writing style. It's like, all right, if you want to like MCU, whatever. But it is.
And while we're on the subject,
I was going to say, it's also full of quippy dialogue as well as Hi-Fi Rush.
excellent. But while we're on the subject, there's nothing wrong with cringe. Right? People think cringe is automatically bad. Cringe is not automatically bad. Sometimes it can be entertaining. But yeah, like I like that went off the rail. Now I don't know what I was going to say, but I'm pretty sure it was going to be really awesome.
Something about playing Forspoken in spite of people. And to be fair, I actually I do that more often than not nowadays. If people are like saying like trashing something, I'm more unlikely to check it out just because I'm like, I more than likely like stuff like I'm a very optimistic person and will find the good in things like Transformers and Resident Evil movies, except that last one. That one was really bad. Like, you know, so I'm a very like if something upsets me or makes me dislike it, it's genuinely got to be pretty bad. You know what I mean? So even with Forspoken, I'm looking at these things. I'm like, where's the issue? I'm like, it's just the type of direction they've gone with the game. If it's not for you, you don't have to buy it and you don't have to engage with it. But that's not the world we live in, unfortunately.
Is it the thing that's behind Forspoken, isn't it? That people are complaining or whining about the dialogue when they haven't even played the game.
Yeah, it was a clip shared by some content creators. And the content creator was like, this is actually dialogue that's in Forspoken. Like, it was like the worst thing you've ever experienced in your entire life. And people started watching it and started reacting negatively to it. But then, like, people on my side of Twitter started looking at it going, what's the problem? Like,
just
even if you don't like it, like, you don't like it, that doesn't make it bad. That just makes it the thing that you don't like.
Yeah, it's like if you don't like Shakespearean, you're not gonna
exactly. Right?
You're like, oh, you know what? They should stop speaking like this in this Shakespearean piece. It's like, well, that's the direction they've chose to go. That's the product that they put out. If you don't like it, that's fine. We're not saying you have to like the dialogue, but you know, if like just shut up and let people enjoy it. Right? If someone enjoys that dialogue, let them enjoy it. Like to me, I think it could get definitely like it's like the High on Life thing where that got really grating after a while for me. Like, but I still enjoyed it. But I would totally be like, if someone didn't like the High on Life dialogue, I'd be like, yeah, that's totally fine. Like, I get it. Like, it is very much a hit or miss type of thing.
Yeah,
not everyone can like everything.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. Like for me, it's like Forspoken was never on my radar. It never appealed to me whatsoever, so I was never probably going to give it a go, and anything like that. So this was always going to go over things, and so I only started noticing things about things because of the Discord that I'm in with Amy and everything like that. If I didn't see those things in there, I probably still would be completely clueless.
No, I literally posted the clip and I was like, because it's. Russ has it in his fantasy critic team, so Fitz was talking about it, saying, hey, here's what the score is, and obviously the score wasn't great. And I'd just been on Twitter looking at people talking about Forspoken, and I just went, you know what, in our little group chat, I just went, can I talk about one thing that's going to piss me off? And as everybody knows, they can't stop me. So I was just like, this discourse is pissing me off. And then we had a nice long chat about it, actually. It was quite good. I'm liking how active our little Discord group is at the moment.
Nice.
It's not just me and Moody dropping links to news stories so we don't forget them for the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. There's no doubt about that. But no, yeah, it's like what you like, ladies and gentlemen. Just like what you like. And I won't lie. Most of the time on these podcasts, I'm literally taking the piss out of everything. So
it's true.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there is one thing you can definitely take the piss out of with Forspoken is, and to be fair, I have to agree with this. Is like when you're designing a scene and environment and stuff, you've got to really think of where you place things. So she has her apartment on fire, and all of her life belongings are at the bottom of the bed. It has a prompt so you can interact with it, and she's like, I've got to save my cat first. So you leave all of this stuff that's literally there that you can interact with to go and pick up the cat. By the time you picked up the cat, the room's burned down. And it's like, okay, now that I understand if you want to critique, because that is just poor design. Like,
oh no, all my stuff. This was unavoidable.
Which I could have definitely got, but you know.
Was it?
But whatever, like that's just nitpicking and just being like, if you want to be pedantic, there you go.
But kitty cat, you have to say the kitty cat.
Well, no,
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if all your stuff's in a bag.
I know I'm taking the piss.
It's like it's on the way, right? It's like I'm going to go and save the kitty cat, but I'll just grab this because it's not. I can just put my arm out like this and
literally at the foot of my bed, and I can interact with it.
I remember
but
seeing
no,
that.
I can't. I must save this one cat without.
I remember seeing that. Yeah, like we do this podcast obviously, and I make videos and stuff, and we stream games. So like we'll talk about stuff that we don't like in games that we don't like, like all the time. Unfortunately, sometimes there are things that we just don't like. But like I don't know, man. For me personally, like outside of sitting down in this podcast with Moody and it's like, oh, I played such and such and this is my experience with it, I'm just like not interested in fucking talking shit about games, man. Like, you know, Moody enjoyed games last year that I didn't enjoy, and we had a discussion about it, and I said, look, man, I didn't enjoy it for these reasons, and then after that, I just left it alone. Like, there was really no point in me saying any more than what I said in that one conversation. Yeah. Like, if someone brought it up, like, or Moody brought it up, like, a couple of months later again, I don't feel the need to just, like, jump back in and go, well, if you remember, I didn't like it, unless it's, you know, like, just vibes. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, completely agree. Like yeah, it's a weird situation what's going on the internet. Like you said, when we were I missed all of this, and I'm so fucking happy that I missed all of this.
Yeah,
I'm so happy. It's amazing. It's great, and I really basically the things I see is the things that I want to see. You know,
and the things I flash in front of your face, right? Oh, Manny, look at this! And you're like, for fuck's sake.
And everything like
Can
that.
I block her?
Like...
Is it too early in the year to get rid of Amy?
Can I block her on Discord?
The thing is, Amy would find a way.
I'd start sending it to Sophia. Hey, show me this.
So, David, why is Amy messaging me? I blocked her. Why did you block her? She was irritating me. Well, now she's irritating me, so unblock her. No, I don't want to.
I don't want to do it.
Fine.
So, yeah, what are you guys been playing then, I guess?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I'm at 166 hours now.
Bro,
it's disgusting.
We buy
could
a game.
not handle the hand traps. That game is dead to me.
We buy a game to play, and then what does Moody do? He goes and plays fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I don't know. And on that note, you talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! I need to pee.
That's fine.
Scott asked me a question. I've already talked about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel over and over and over again as many times. I reviewed it last year. So
to be fair, when it first came out, I did get really into it, and I thought it was like quite a progressive way of doing it, considering it's coming from A, Konami, and B, it's a mobile card game. Well, it's on console, but it's a mobile card game. So like I was like, they're pretty generous and fair with the monetization and how to earn cards. I was like, this is a really good thing. And then it's just like, oh, now I understand why people just do not like to play Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, I'm gonna do this. Can you stop me? No. Okay, I win. Okay, that you've stopped me. Okay, you win. And to be fair, it's more nuanced than that. I'm being very facetious when I say that. And if you do enjoy playing it, like, power to you. It's like, it's not my card game. I play it with a card game.
I do the one thing that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players always do. I never read the cards. I just put them down and I go for it. And if I'm able to win, I win. And if they counter it, and I'm saying, how have you done this? And then I read it, that still doesn't make sense.
I just revealed this and stop you doing your whole turn. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
Yeah. There's a lot of But I remember hand traps weren't a thing for me when I started Yu-Gi-Oh!
Exactly right. It's really annoying. Like I loved playing with like the Blue Eyes deck, and then everyone would be like, "And I'm just gonna stop you summoning right now." And I'm like, "But it's my turn, and it's the first turn of the game." It's like, yeah, but I just have to. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And that just infuriated me at that point where I was just like, I'm done playing this.
I watch a Team Samurai X1 and he puts out some good decks, so I basically nick what he uses. Right now I'm using the Sky Striker deck, and I'm just like, I'm so close. I'm so close to getting back to Diamond.
I mean, like, close. If you want to play and you are chasing that grinder, I mean, it's totally fair, right? It's fair game. But like, if you're like me and I was just like, I wanted to just play some janky, old school style decks. I mean, I did end up trying to do a meta thing with, I think they were called Infinitrax, where it's just basically like diggers and stuff that keep getting bigger. And I was like, oh, this is a fun deck. I'll play that. And it's like, this kind of works, but also again it comes down to the issue. Oh, my opponent just reveals one card and stops my turn. Cool. I'm not going to play it. I don't have the patience or sanity to do it.
Just like the
Knowing
TV show.
When Dragon Ball comes out with their online client, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing constantly. It's just being like, so it comes down to preference, right? And I obviously Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it's very much a childhood nostalgic passion for me, whereas the games I play now, like One Piece and Dragon Ball, Akora, all that kind of thing, that's mine now. So I'm more tolerable with the way the game works.
No doubt about it. Like, it's not really the grind for me that I'm on. It's just that I play. And if I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. I don't really give a flying hoot. Right now, I'm gold 1. I'm gold 1. Doesn't mean I don't care if it refreshes and puts me all the way back down to bronze or whatever the lowest bronze. I'm like, I don't care. I'll just play. I'm playing with a deck I like right now, which is good. Sometimes finding that deck is a pain in the backside, and this is a good one. It's easy to play. It's not too annoying. And if people beat me, I'm just like, good for you. Well done.
Power to you. That's the best way to approach TCGs. I mean, TCG players are a different breed, right? We talk about gamers. Have you met card gamers? They're
they're nuts.
I used to play Magic the Gathering and not online. Yes,
I've
met them. I've met them.
So
you definitely meet some interesting
I used to be
people
one of
that
them.
you wouldn't. You don't want to meet some of these people in person. But it is what it is, right? That's all. I think that just comes down to a facet of gamer, right? I think there's a contingent of people just, for some reason, whatever it be, they're just dicks.
Fair. I mean,
that's fair.
Yeah. No, I used to play Overwatch 2 competitively, so yeah. Yeah, I know what that's like.
Amy was a psycho.
I was. You know what? I'm not gonna. I was gonna say no, I wasn't, and then it was like, no, I definitely was. Like me. It was me and Keith and Russ and Mark and Tom and Foxes. Me and Foxes were Team Tank, so we were the 2 tanks. Also hashtag Team Tank forever. Love you, Foxes. Mwah, missed you. But
I need to get him back.
But we used to play the tank line, right? So like you had Keith and Tom in the back, they would be healing, and you had Mark and Russ doing their thing, killing people, and we streamed this as well. The streams aren't online anymore.
They're gone.
but me and Foxes were fucking psychotic. Like we were really good.
I saw some of their matches.
We were really good, but we were absolute psychopaths when it came to be. But we were just a really good team, and I do miss Overwatch. But like even if I downloaded Overwatch 2, me and Foxes can't do that anymore because they took out one of the tank roles. So like one of us is redundant, and that means I'm never going to play Overwatch 2. Fuck you, Blizzard. But that was my story about being one of those types of gamers.
I mean, I think we've all been through that point in life. Like, it is just one of those things. Perspective makes you a better person. Or at least that's how I like to think, right? As time moves on, we all grow and learn. And saying that, Dead Space is coming out. If Dead Space MOBA comes out, I'll be like, yo, what the F, man? You're a necromorph. What are you doing?
Yeah. Just wait until I get into another competitive first-person shooter, and I'll probably get all sweaty again. I'm definitely going to clip that out and send it to Foxes.
It's just, I don't know what it is, but FPSs just don't do it for me. I tried that Modern Warfare 2 DMZ thing.
All right.
Uninstalled it after one game. I was like, this is crap. I don't like this.
With multiplayer first-person shooters, I either play it for a bit and bounce straight out, or I play it for like 200 hours.
Yeah.
Like, there's no in between for me. Like, me and Moody absolutely smashed Apex Legends, but like, I downloaded Warzone, and I was just like, I played like 3 matches, and I was like, this is all I ever need to do with this game, and I will never play it ever again.
It's weird, right? I try and be reflective on myself, so it's like, I look at what games I used to play and what I play now, and it's just so weird. It's like right now I'm on the hunt for a huge, like, I really want a live service game to get into, just so I have something to fill those times. But none of it lives up. It's so depressing. And speaking of Avengers, right? That's gone now. So
we'll talk about that later.
Any chance of that becoming something great? That's gone now. Anthem died a death. I was really hopeful they would have pulled Anthem around. Because Anthem has some of the best flying in video games. Like, it's so fun to fly around. And like the game's really pretty. and the core loop is potentially quite good. It wasn't, and that's partially why it was like died. But like it was potential there, and EA was just like, we don't want to put in the effort to fix.
Single player games, that's what everybody wants to play nowadays.
Yeah, Dead Space. Like, buy Dead Space. Everybody buy Dead Space, please. I need a remake of the sequel and then a good version of Dead Space 3. Which, to be fair, I actually like Dead Space 3, but that's neither here nor there.
I think they will do the remakes for them. I don't think 3 will be the same type of game, but I think they'll make it more scarier.
Please do.
The
DLC for 3 was so good.
I think that's what they're going to. Oh, I might be completely wrong, and they just say remake 2, then they'll just completely remake 3 altogether.
Well, they're giving away 2 with like if you pre-ordered Dead Space remake on PC, they gave you Dead Space 2. Maybe they'll just go straight to Dead Space 4.
What do you mean Dead Space 3 exists, Dad? Don't worry about it.
Well, when they did Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which Amy is currently intimately familiar with, they were obviously only redid the first game and not the second or third, and then now they're obviously doing Mass Effect 5. So like maybe that's what they'll do with Dead Space. They remade the first one because I watched Moody stream Dead Space 1 and 2 either last year or the year before. I was blank on what year it was. 2 years ago. And like Dead Space 2, the gameplay still pretty much holds up, but Dead Space 1's gameplay, like compared to like where we are now with like how the movement controls work and stuff, is pretty what's the best way to describe it? I mean, you actually played it.
Shit.
There we go.
Clunky, right?
It's clunky. Yeah.
It's clunky. Like, because again, I've been replaying it purely just because I want to see the differences. So like, I'm like, oh man, Isaac does move like a pretty sluggish.
Like a fucking
He has a voice now. He has a voice.
That's cool. I actually think that's a really good change. To be fair.
Yeah.
Shall I move on with the rest of the podcast?
I mean, we could talk about Dead Space for a bit.
We probably
more,
could
really
talk
want.
about Dead Space for another hour.
I really could. Like,
we'll have a chance to talk about it.
Let me out.
But we'll definitely be talking about that next week, I think. But for now, it's time for Indie Game of the Week. This is the thing that we do every week on this podcast, where Amy goes off, finds a weird indie game, comes back, and tells you all about it, so you can go and wishlist it. This week's Indie Game of the Week is called The Star Named Eos. Immerse yourself in The Star Named Eos, a first-person narrative puzzle adventure game about photography and the ways we can capture the fleeting moments that shape our lives. Explore hand-drawn worlds, solve puzzles to uncover the truth of a family mystery, and recreate photos to step back in time and experience the long-forgotten memories held within them. Play as Day, a young photographer following the footsteps of his missing mother. Often away from home travelling, Day could only imagine his mother's daring adventures through the photos and letters she sent to him as a child. After noticing something strange in one of the pictures she had left behind her, everything Day had believed is challenged. Now, guided by a deep voice from within him, it's time that Day sets out to find the truth of his mother's disappearance and finally move on. A relaxing, reflective journey that can be played at any pace, the Star Named Eos blends beautiful hand-animated visuals with narrative-focused puzzle mechanics. It's being developed and published by Silver Lining Studios and is coming soon to PC via Steam. There's a link in the description. Go wishlist it. Wishlisting helps.
Wishlisting incredibly helps. I can't believe, though, Amy, that you didn't put on my game that I brought out this week. I can't believe you didn't do that.
Why would I do
or my company brought out this week.
The company released a game this week. That's not what Indie Game of the Week is. Like, if I want to play it, I'll
it was
play
last week when we technically. It was last week when we released it. I can't believe that.
That's how. If I want to play it, I'll play it. Give me a code. Send me a code. I'll review it.
Send code, please.
Send a code. Look, Amy's very busy right now.
Access right now. There's no point.
Amy's playing a second 85-hour playthrough of Mass Effect, right? Like, Amy needs to be left alone right now.
Priority.
Priority playing one of the best.
She's got it. Priority's there.
Right, straight fucking this video. I'm never doing anything like this ever again.
You know that's right.
I know that's not a fact. I know that's a lie. But right now, I'm 9,000 words deep. I haven't even finished the first part of the video. It's fine.
How
Moody,
far are you through the second replay, may I ask?
I'm going very slowly because it's obviously all renegade choices. And, I just need to do this in small chunks.
What game are you up to?
I'm still on one.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
I was still on 1.
Good. Thank God 1's a good game still. That's okay.
Sure it is. Sure.
I said it was a good game. I didn't say it was a fantastic game.
No. If I could set the combat to automatic, I would. I only really need what annoys me is I only really need to capture footage of the cutscenes and the dialogue, but I've got to play through all the combat to get to them.
The offer's still there for me smashing through this.
That's fine. I'm in now. Plus, I need to see some of this stuff.
Yeah, like I'm already too deep in.
I'm already too deep. If I need any pickup footage capture, I'll let you know. But should be all right. Moody,
it's time for table of content, Amy.
Table of content. I'm gonna have to rename that because you read all the headers and you just read table of contents. It's like, no, it's this stuff. No, never mind.
We'll think of something. It'll come to us out of nowhere, and then we'll be like, "That's it." We just know that.
I know we do this normally, where you pick the news stories in the order that we read them in, but I feel like the first 4 are kind of in sequence almost.
I still don't want to start with that one.
That's fine. You can start wherever you want. I'm just
okay then. I want to start with Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, I thought you might. No, I just had the thought there. I feel like you still go wherever you want. It's fine. Crystal Dynamics confirms end of Marvel's Avengers later this year. This was written by Andy Robinson over at VGC, who said Crystal Dynamics has announced it will end support for Marvel's Avengers later this year. In a blog published on Friday, the developer said it would publish its final update on March 31st, 2023, and end all official support on September 30th, 2023. However, after September 30th, single and multiplayer gameplay will continue to be available, the developer said. Following update 2.8 on March 31st, this is obviously a quote, following update 2.8 on March 31st, we will no longer add new content or features to Marvel's Avengers, and all official support for the game will end on September 30th, end quote.
Okay, so I've got 2 questions here before I start. Okay. So 1, is Crystal Dynamics still owned by Square Enix? No, they're owned by
Embracer Group.
Yeah, Embracer Group. But okay. And 2, I wanna be let loose, if you allow me, please. I will be respectful.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, sure. No.
Fuck Square Enix. That's where I'm starting this. This is all Crystal Dynamics created the game and everything like that, but we all know that Square Enix were the one who were the ones who got the IP for this game and everything like that for them to even do this game when it came to Disney and whatnot. And Crystal and Square Enix pushed such terrible demands and such borderline insulting shit to get this game out as fast as possible to hopefully try and to make a quick buck, because at the time, and arguably still to this day, Marvel is still arguably one of the biggest IPs out there in the entertainment sphere. No ifs, ands, or buts. Phase 4, yes, I know people may not like it, whatnot. MCU is still the biggest thing out there. That's just absolute facts. I'm sorry, I will never agree with anyone else who argues against me here with this. But they had
one of them,
the perfect thing. They had the perfect thing here to do this, and because they rushed them out and made asinine deals with Sony. Yes, I understand why Sony locked Spider-Man down to their own thing. They own Spider-Man. I completely understand that and everything, but they just was fucking idiotic how they did this, Square Enix. And Square Enix have just shown they are literally the new Ubisoft right now, where they're just going down, 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 and down when it comes to just opinions in general of just good work, good stuff, and good games and everything, which is crap. I feel for Crystal Dynamics. I hope that who they are with now, the Embracer Group, will allow them to spread their wings and do something amazing with a new IP, or going back to Tomb Raider, or whatever the hell they want to do and everything. But
perfect.
Fucking hell, they really, really dropped the ball on this. I know it's not. It's just you had a home run on this, and how you missed this is absolutely insane to think you could miss this type of thing, which is disgusting, because they hoped the IP was strong enough that they could get away with putting out an asinine game. That's what Square Enix hoped, and it failed. It's the same thing as the EA with Anthem, which what you brought up, Scott, a while not to it earlier, which Anthem was an exciting game and had such excitement and
great talent involved in that game as
Shut
well.
the
Like,
bed so fast. Shut the bed. And
I felt like a prophet when it came to Anthem because I feel like I was sitting here going, I do not understand why everyone is very excited for this game, and then it obviously events transpired.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish
yeah.
I had been wrong. I really do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I wish I was wrong when it came to this one because I didn't think great things about this game either before it even came out. As soon as that people started whining about the character models because they didn't look like the MCU counterparts, I was just like, this game's dubbed for failure. It's dubbed for failure, and it's gonna be failure. And it came out and it shut the bed really fast. And I feel for the team. I feel for everyone who worked their asses for this. I feel for the players who actually enjoyed this game because there was a lot of them. Amy, you enjoyed the campaign of Kamala Khan. No one's going to remember that now. No one's going to remember that.
I will remember it. Maybe
you will remember.
Maybe I'll make a video about it.
Thank God we've got Miss Marvel on the TV on Disney Plus because that's a great TV show. Go and fucking support that because at least she'll be in something else because she ain't. That character's not going to be in any other fucking Marvel game at this moment in time, which is sucks because they had such great characters and they shot the fucking bed. I thought I was as respectful as I could be there.
Yeah, I'll be respectful. Fuck you, Square Enix.
I mean,
I didn't say I wouldn't
at
swear.
this point, right? I mean, they had Babylon's Fall. They had
Chocobo
Avengers.
GP.
Like,
They've had
it's
a
quite
Final Fantasy VII First Soldier. Like they've closed down 4 live service games in the past year.
yeah, it's because it's just it's such a difficult model to get right, and there's a reason why MMOs cost a lot of money, and these are essentially what live services are MMO-like games. That's essentially what they're trying to be, is these forever games, but they just like it's a completely different type of cycle. And if you're not like, I mean, what's it called? Outriders. I imagine Outriders is next to go.
That's done. Like if
That
that
is not a game that will last in 2020. If Outriders, like, I'll come here on 2024, and if Outriders is still a thing, I will be very shocked. I'll eat a pepper or something.
Are they trying to make a sequel out of that?
I don't know. Like the thing is, it's like Square Enix has like shut down again. Square Enix has shut down like 4 live service games in the past few months, and then it's like, well, Outriders is also like a Square Enix live service game that hasn't really like popped off. So I mean, are they going to shut that down? And then at a certain point, like, a Square Enix at some point in the future going to try and like start a new live service game? Like, then you'd be like, oh, we're making whatever the fuck, right? I don't know. No example. Insert example here, and it's like, is anyone going to play it? Because I feel like you would just go in and you go, well, they're probably going to shut it down in a year. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of I'm not going to play it because they're going to shut it down, and they'll shut it down because no one's going to play it.
I mean, you couldn't do it with Avengers, which again, Moody's
Avengers again.
like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's the biggest IP you could have, right? Like, Avatar may make 2 billion at the box office, but Avengers is infinitely more marketable than Avatar will be. Like, that's just a fact.
Imagine
it's
fucking
Avengers.
up Avengers.
But it's one of those things where it's just like, it really is. It's almost a, how did you fail at this?
Like,
and they did.
Because, like, yeah, what Moody, and I know you wanted to say something, I'll just give you like couple of sentences, but it's like, yeah, right. We're not like, if they didn't launch Avengers now, when, as Moody was saying, like, there's a little bit of like, you know, this like MCU tiredness. Like, they launched it when it was everybody loved Marvel. Like, Avengers Endgame had just happened. Like, how did you fuck this up? What were you saying? What were you going to want to say then, Moody?
The thing is, when it comes to Square Enix, when it comes to their games, they already have literally the perfect model how to do a live service game. Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, couldn't
They
agree more.
have the perfect model. They know how to do this, which is insane. So they could have just said Square Enix, Marvel characters, Final Fantasy style. Yes, thank you very much. That's how we want a game. We want it with a great story, great characters, people to be able to do loads of things in it, and we'll get content out to them, say, every 6 months, but big content, big giant worlds and everything like that, like they do with the Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy 14, they had the blueprints, which it just baffles me even more. You have blueprints, yet you somehow fail still.
Well, I kind of like throw this out there to like any like live service game like this. So not like a and Apex Legends or whatever, like the games like this that want to build narratives and stuff. But like you just hit on a really good point there. Where it's like one of the things Avengers was trying to do was like every few months, and I know they didn't hit every few months, but the intention was every few months a new character would come out and it would have some missions. And I played the first one. It was Kate Bishop, and it was like 3 missions and there was shit. Like I'm just gonna say they were terrible.
It was not good. It was not good.
But like the model for this seeming to work is like Final Fantasy 14 releases like big expansions with loads of story content, and they're huge, and they have a narrative that's self-contained, like following on from the thing that happened before. But here's part 6 of the movie, you know what I mean? Here's season 3, you know, like, or whatever, however you want to like equate it with something else. And like Destiny does the same thing, and Destiny 2's been going for ages. Like they'll put out little bits of content here and there, but they release a big expansion like every 18 months or whatever it is. Like Lightfall's coming out, right?
I can't wait. Like, I'm gonna get back into Destiny 2 for Lightfall.
like just having this thing where it's like you drop a bit of story like every few months just doesn't seem to be the way to go. Like make a big huge fucking expansion that's like another season of the show or like the next sequel of the movie and stuff, and like do it that way, and that seems to work.
I will defend them, right? The one time I really thought there was hope for Avengers was when Wakanda Forever dropped, and I was like, this is what the game needed. And then it still manages to mess up. But like even with this not last update, like one of the last updates, like it's like they've implemented some traversal updates that may or may not be meant to be in the game, and it's just a whole mess. And I'm just like, this game was completely mismanaged from top to bottom. Well, like the people in charge were problematic.
Wakanda Forever DLC had a thing against it though at the same time. It's because I don't think people wanted to hear a different voice playing Black Panther after the Chadwick Boseman passing and everything. It was still an early thing for a lot of people for when it came out and everything. And they tried to obviously say this is in celebration of that man and everything like that, which I could completely appreciate that. But sadly, like say, a lot of people were still very like, I think still hurting from what happened sadly with Chadwick Boseman, and still rest in peace to this day. So and everything. So I think it was a mixture of a lot of things that sadly going off what everyone I've heard.
It wasn't amazing.
It wasn't great, sadly, and throwing a different voice playing a actor that everyone loved.
Yeah, no, I think that's. I definitely think that's fair criticism there, and the fact that the characters they kept releasing were just clones of other characters. Like,
well, I mean, the first 2 characters were both Hawkeye.
It's like, what are you doing?
Like, what the hell?
The last character released is Bucky, which is Cap.
Yeah,
slightly different.
We've got one of these already.
Like,
he has the metal arm.
It's free. Like, you've had 3 years to develop this game, and there's still things that should have just never been in the game that are in the game. And it's a shame. It is a shame because there is the potential there. Like Amy said, like she liked the campaign, and the campaign, when it is really good and when it is true to the characters, it's great. There's some real good moments in there with Kamala and Tony that I really like and still remember to this day. Kamala and Bruce, really great interactions. Like, and I'm like, they're the comic characters I like, and it's not even about staying true to comics. I don't really care if they deviate. It's not about that. It's being like, cool, these are characters I care about now. But then it's all gone in the post game for just repetitive missions, and it's not the end of the world. That like I said, I'm looking for a live service game that I can just sink into and do that content and enjoy it. But it's such an expansive world. It's Marvel. It's wasted potential ad infinitum, and it's and I know there is that argument Sony on the character, but I think that's it's a moot point because Spider-Man's in Marvel Sons. You can play as I'm playing him on my Xbox.
So Sony obviously I know, I completely agree what you're saying. Sony decided to change that thing and everything like that. Obviously, Marvel Sons, they were just like, all right, we'll give you this amount of money. They would have said to Square Enix, or say, if you want it multi-platform, you have to give us this amount of money. I think that's probably a guarantee that boys would have happened, and they rejected it. Square Enix were not going to give them that money, and they obviously then Sony just went, all right, fine, okay, give us this amount, but we get to keep it exclusive on our platform and everything, and you have to work around it. How you're going to fit this all in with Xbox and everything like that? That's not our problem. That's a you problem, not us problem. And it sucked. It's a
like with it closing.
terrible.
with it closing and they're still like, no, Spider-Man's not coming to any. I'm like, the game is dead. Just might as well release him. Who cares?
I don't even think he's even made, mate.
He's in
He's
there.
in the game.
Yeah. He's in the game.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's
He arrived late, but he's there.
Yeah,
He's like the
there,
one character who's
you just
slightly
can't play
different.
him. Wait, can you not play him as he?
You didn't get any story. He released without story missions, which was the first in that was sort of my first inkling of like, yeah, this game is done.
This game's dead.
Like this game is done.
To be fair, it survived 3 years, which I'm still shocked at. Like, but you look at this, right? This decision isn't just a decision they made overnight, and they recently released a £75 bundle for skins. So if people have bought that, they're out of luck. And all the skins are free.
Yeah, everything's free now. So like everything's available.
Wow, thanks. I honestly, the best thing they could have done was go, Spider-Man is going to be on everything. Everyone can play with everything. Thanks for everything. We're done. Right? And they took... having all the skins for free is nice. Don't get me wrong. It's a nice thing. So if I ever boot that thing back up, probably not going to, I could be like, well, yeah, I can make my characters look cool. But it is just a... I hope developers look at this and companies look at this and be like, no matter how strong your IP is, you need a solid foundation. And then I mean, there's like, it'll be very interesting in 5 years when we find out that this game was meant to be a single player game and it got shoehorned into being a live service game. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think it's a learning point for
it feels
video game
like
industry.
it. Sorry. It feels like that kind of game. It feels like they had a really strong campaign. They got the voice cast in. You know, they were very proud of that voice cast. It was really strongly well written, and then it just had this like, and I know it's not a shooter, but like it had that like loot shooter gameplay loop like stapled to it, and it was just like, but you can collect you collect armor pieces for these characters. But they don't change how the character looks because obviously these are comic book characters that have their own iconic looks. So what? Like, I don't understand.
It is just a butchered attempt at making infinite money, but they did it in such a way where, and admittedly, yes, there are other people who will love it, and I'm not taking that away from them. But the fact is, I think it's clearly a failure in every metric you look at it. Like, you can try and whataboutism or copium it out of there, but it's like, no, on every level, this is a failure. And
that's a shame.
It is a horrible, horrible shame. I don't want this I never wanted Avengers to be a failure. Like, and I'd love to be playing Avengers right now. Like, Bob Duck and Weave, huge shout out to Bob. Managed to make a very nice bit of content on that and made it last for 3 years. He's the only reason I care about Avengers is because he made that content. I'm like, I feel more for him than I do anyone else. Because it's like, he literally making a living off that. He does other things as well, so it's not like he's totally screwed. But it's just like, he had so much passion and care about that game. And to see it all end up like this, it just feels so bad. And I hope the industry learns from this, just like they did with loot boxes, where like everyone kind of got to a point where it was like, this is enough. Maybe this is the point of live service done at a disservice, if that makes sense. I'm not saying live services shouldn't exist. Redfall's going to be a live. Redfall's going to be a live service type game by the looks of it, and you know it might be good. But I think they need to really reassess. If you're going to do live service, build it from the ground up to be live service, and you have to have a content plan in place. And that's an idyllic way of looking at it, because it's not going to be like that. Corporate greed will take over. But like, at least if you're building a live service game with the intention of it being live service, and you have that content ready, you're in a much better position than a lot of these live service games where their first 3 months are them fixing their mistakes.
Yeah. Hard to argue. That's exactly what happened. Should we move on? Does anyone else have anything else to say about Avengers other than RIP?
Sad reacts effing chat. I don't know. Like, it's just a horrible feeling. Like, this game shouldn't have failed, and it did.
Keep an eye out for Outriders. Where are we going next, Moody?
Start Xbox, go from the top and work your way down.
Start at Xbox.
Over on the bottom, now we're here.
Really likes to mix things up a bit. And to be fair,
I mean,
I think the podcast is better if Moody just decides where we go next.
It's just Crystal Dynamics, man. That is, you know what? That'll be my end note on it. I do hope Crystal Dynamics recover from this, and the next Tomb Raider is an absolute banger, because it will be, because they're a talented bunch of people.
Hopefully, the Embracer are going to just allow them more free will than Square Enix did, and not put incredible expectations on what the return should be, and not put it at a stupid time either. Oh, we're going to release it with, what did it release with, the first one? No, sequel Fallout, wasn't it?
Tomb Raider. The second one released with Fallout 4.
And it was just exclusive on
And it was exclusive on Xbox.
Like
Shadow of the Tomb Raider released with something as well? I can't remember.
I want to say Just Cause, but I don't think it was, because that's their own game.
No.
Just Cause Square Enix always drop in December for the most part.
I'm sure it was around Red Dead time. But I might be wrong about that.
Potentially, it could have been. It could have been.
There was something. There's always something. Tomb Raider is cursed.
I am itching for Lara Croft to come back again, because I do like those games. I must.
The two first updates, like Tomb Raider and Rise.
It was just Tomb Raider and Shadow.
Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
The first two I really enjoyed. Shadow I didn't click with because I didn't like what they did with Lara, but. Other than that, that's it's like great games overall.
I own every single Tomb Raider game.
I think I own Shadow.
No, I mean I own all the old ones as well.
oh yeah.
But do you own the Angelina Jolie movies?
No, thank God.
Oh, you should. They're really good.
Scott, there's a reason why.
It's trying to bait Moody into discussing it at this point. It's like video game movies have always been good, guys. You just are wrong for not liking them.
So. Xbox.
Amy's like, move it.
Moving on.
There's a war movie at Netflix with Dave Bautista.
Stay on target.
Stay on target. What's going on with Xbox Juniors? This is like part 4 of something me and Moody have kind of been talking about in bits and drabs throughout last year, I think it was. But anyway, we've got 2 Xbox news. So we got a lot more than that, but we got 2 Xbox news stories in here. And the first one was from Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon, who wrote about Justin Roiland, creator of Rick and Morty, founder of the studio that made Life is Strange. High on Life. Very different. Those are very different games. Justin Roiland, co-creator and star of animated comedy Rick and Morty, and the game High on Life, is facing felony domestic violence charges related to an incident in January 2020. NBC News reported the arrest and charges on Thursday, citing a criminal complaint filed in May 2020 in Orange County, California, by the county's district attorney. Roiland has been charged with 2 felonies, 1 count of, quote, domestic battery with corporal injury, end quote, and 1 count of, quote, false imprisonment by menace, violence, fraud, and or deceit, end quote. Adult Swim is no longer working with Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland weeks after the news of his felony domestic violence charges was reported, and he's also resigned from Squanch Games on January 16th. And then I stapled a second story of this, which was by Ted Litchfield over at PC Gamer, which I'm not really going to read it, but basically the first part is basically just Microsoft fired like 10,000 people last week, which, Jesus Christ. A lot of these people were from 343, and then what happened next was employees at game studios, a former senior multiplayer designer on Halo Infinite, Patrick Wren, had harsh words for 343 management's direction for Halo Infinite, saying on Twitter, quote, the layoffs shouldn't have happened and Halo Infinite should be in a better state. The reason for both of those things is incompetent leadership up top during Halo Infinite development, causing massive stress on those working hard to make Halo the best it could be, end quote. Wren and a contractor who worked on Halo Infinite, Nicholas Bird, both criticised how 343 deployed contract labour in development. Quote, I would have loved to stay on the team if I could have and worked my way up, end quote. Bird wrote in response to Wren, lamenting the Microsoft imposed time caps on contract workers, quote, so many amazing people and talent that just disappeared, end quote. Those caps are a reference to how Microsoft treats contractors, which Jason Schreier wrote about in 2020, saying, quote, Microsoft contractors can only work for 18 months max, and they can come back after a 6 months break. Microsoft uses so many contractors that this limit leads to a lot of attrition, and for games that take 4+ years to make, like Halo Infinite, it's been disruptive, end quote. And the reason I put those two stories together is because because on this podcast, we've talked about a few Xbox game studios that we've learned have been having issues, and I wrote them down here so we could all remind ourselves. Everwild, which was announced in 2019 and reportedly rebooted in 2021 after 5 years of development, has been described as a mess. Perfect Dark had half of its core development team leave the studio within 12 months, and then Crystal Dynamics was brought in to assist with the development of the game. And lastly, State of Decay 3, which has had huge problems with mismanagement and poor working conditions. So the question I ask, which I put at the top of this news story, is what's going on with Xbox Game Studios?
I don't think the Rick and Morty guy is part of Xbox, so this is a little confusing to me.
Squanch Games isn't part of Xbox Game Studios. No, you're absolutely right. But if I'm making a deal with a game studio and the guy who runs the game studio has a domestic violence charge against him, which was filed in May 2020, I think that flags up on a risk assessment. And that's pure speculation. I don't know if Microsoft knew about it before they signed the deal. But from my perspective, it feels like something that would come up.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I didn't click on. I had no interest in.
No, sorry. I told myself in my head when I wrote this story that I would have to explain that connection, and then I didn't. So it's a fair question.
All right, no, that's fair. Yeah. So the game High on Life, I never had any interest in it. I'm not a Ricky Morton fan or anything like that, so I don't really know anything about Justin Roiland until I watched the John Campea podcast yesterday when they talked about him being fired from Adult Swim and everything like that. And they did a whole thing about people complaining that he's been fired, should have been given due process and everything like that, blah, blah, blah. Shut up, you morons. This guy right now, if it is true what he has done, he's deserved everything that has happened. And he's left, and if he's been forced out or just been told you're going to have to leave, everything like that, at least he's done the right thing about that. At least one thing he's done right in his career in the last few years and everything like that. Justin Rollins, stay away from the entertainment industry. You're not wanted. You're not needed. You do not deserve to be in here. I don't care if you are the voice or many voices of Rick and Morty, and that you are one of the co-creators of one of the biggest animated shows in the world in Rick and Morty. Does not give you right to be an asshole in whatever part of space of life or anything. If it turns out to be that this was all false and he's cleared of all charges, then he still has to, at the end of the day, if there's smoke, there's fire type of thing, it's the whole fucking thing. Something was around for the police to be able to decide and gather evidence enough to say, we are going to charge you type of thing. So there was enough smoke for them to be able to do this. So if you are cleared of charges and you get your day in court, blah 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 and whatnot, you'll still have a long way to come back if you have any chance to come on back. But stay away from the entertainment industry.
Since the charges were made public by NBC News, people, there's women who've been coming out with DMs from Justin Roiland, and also there's. The most likely scenario is that he'll be cleared of all charges anyway, because that's just how shitty the justice system works, and that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I think what's more damning is those messages, and I think there's a clear reason that they're not addressing them is because they want to keep it quiet as possible. Because if those are real, which there might be, again, I'll err on the side of caution.
Allegedly, that's what Keith always
allegedly, yeah. And then it's like, if allegedly those are real, it's a lot more serious issue than what he's accused of and been arrested for is serious. Not trying to downplay that, but the other thing is way more egregious, in my opinion. And I think you just don't want to be associated with any of that. Flat out. And honestly, it's not the end of the world, right? People who are saying they should cancel Rick and Morty and stuff like that now, it's like, do you know how many people work on that show? You want to punish them just because one person did something wrong? Yeah, that's backwards. If they cancelled Rick and Morty because they got rid of Justin Roiland, that's like saying all of the other people who work on that show should suffer for something he did wrong. And I don't think that's right. So I actually do commend Comedy Central for trying to carry on, whether it's good or not, irrelevant. But all those people still have jobs. And at the end of the day,
it's the same with Squanch Games. It's like, how could Squanch Games go on? He did so much for it. It's like, because a bunch of other people still work there. Like,
talented people like Justin Roiland didn't do any of the coding, I doubt. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, they made a competent shooter in High on Life. They can make. It's not like I was gonna say it's not hard to write a game. It is hard to write a game. It's very much a hard thing to write a game. But all of these people are creative people, and we're just Justin Roiland said this and everyone did it. It's a collaborative thing. Making games is collaborative.
Yep.
So I'm sure Squanch Games, whatever they do next, it might be in the same vein of what they've done with like the fourth wall meta, haha, we make self-referential jokes. And you know what? That might just be the style of game they want to make, but they don't need one man to lead that charge. Like I think there is a contingent of people who are just upset that it's another person they like being taken down, and I can understand that from a perspective of a lot of people are getting taken down nowadays, but it's like, it's justified. You know what I mean? It's not like you're ending someone's career because reasons. It's like Moody said, if the smoke does normally fire, you'll go back to the speaking out movement with wrestling and the Me Too with the film industry. These people do need to go, and there are a lot of toxic people in the game industry who are still in the game industry and really shouldn't be.
Which one did you say? I just wanted to make sure I got the other one.
I'm not going to say anyone because allegedly. But it's one of those things, right? And end of the day, if your workspace is less toxic, that's not a bad thing. It might suck, and I'm disappointed, right? Because I like Rick and Morty, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's the end of the world. It's like,
it's not going to be better. Like, can I just be that person and just say, like, change isn't always bad? What if it's better?
Completely true. Like, they've worked on it for 6 years, right? Like, there's definitely creative burnout and stuff like that. And, someone else comes in with a different vision. That's not a bad thing always. Like, there are fringe cases where things do get better. But yeah, he's just one man of a whole team. It doesn't mean, like, it's not end of the world if he's gone. And he's done something wrong. It's not like he's just gone for they just wanted to cut ties with him. It's like, no, he's done something wrong, and regardless, he's not going to be able to give his full attention to the show anyway. Even if he is acquitted, right, he has to deal with this legal issue, and rather than drag the rest of the team in there, he's gone. And that's like, Justin Roiland's going to deal with what he's got to deal with, regardless of the outcome, regardless of whatever. These things exist separately from him, have a bunch of talented people working on these things separately from him, and they're going to continue in spite of everything he's done, whether he's found guilty or not.
Anyone who's complaining that he's lost his jobs and everything like that, I'll just say this. I'll say the whole thing from Spock. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one, because at the end of the day, that the crew who work, you could not expect any person, woman, anyone, any part of the crew whatsoever to work under this man, knowing what he has against him right now. So at the end of the day, Adult Swim did the logical thing of just saying, you're out at this moment in time. And like I say, and if things happen and he's cleared of all charges and everything like that, then they can maybe do an olive branch and say, all right, you've been cleared, let's have a talk, blah, 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 and whatnot. And that may happen and everything like that. But like, you can't, like, and if anyone fucking says he's been cancelled, he's not being cancelled. Shut up. And the cancelled is a fucking myth.
But cancel culture, Moody, but cancel culture.
Cancel is not a myth whatsoever. Cancel is not a myth whatsoever. I won't deny, I will not be surprised if Rick and Morty ends after this ninth season now because of this, though.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, but they're still, like, what are they, on season 6? They're filming season 7, 8, and 9 now, I think. At this moment in time, I heard. So I'm just like,
I know they said in the media that I was like, it's going to go till season 10, but I'm like, they could decide to end it. Like, it wouldn't be. I mean, Comedy Central probably want it to keep going. But yeah,
no doubt about that. And if anyone complains that the voices may change a little bit or anything like that, I can understand that might be a little bit jarring. But at the end of the day, we are adaptable. you'll get the fuck over it pretty fast, especially if the content is good.
It's also a
That's all
show
that
where
matters.
it's fourth wall breaking, so it's not like, you know what I mean? Like it. I don't think they will address it in the show universe, but I think
they will.
you
I
re-
think they will.
I mean,
think they
I
will.
know Dan Harmon would write something about it because it's Dan Harmon
Yeah.
and the guy's. He's also problematic in and of himself, right? But the way he writes, he would do it. But I don't think the Comedy Central would. I'll pass it.
No, I think Comedy Central will go for it. They want to have that attention every night, and I think it's probably going to be something like I don't know who's who right now when it comes to the characters. The doctor one, he'll sober up, and the kid one, he'll grow age a little bit, and the voices will change a little because he's sobered up and he's puberty or
That's
something.
like just a perfectly narrative way of doing it. Yeah, you're not wrong.
They might just do that and everything, but yeah.
It just, I mean, don't be shitty to other people.
Yeah.
We can all make mistakes. It's not about making mistakes. Like, these are criminal acts. There's a difference between making a mistake and forcibly. What was it? Sorry.
It was false imprisonment by menace, violence, fraud, and/or deceit.
Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. Like,
I'm not even 100% sure what that is, but it sounds terrible.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm assuming the worst here. I'm assuming that he is guilty on this. And that is my viewpoint on this. I'm assuming this is correct. Obviously, if he's found innocent, he's found innocent. Like, that's, again, as Amy said, some people are found innocent when they're really not innocent. Like, unfortunately, the way the world works is not how we want it to be, and some people do shitty things, and we've just got to move on. But yeah, Xbox.
Xbox. Well, all the other stuff though. I now realize I should have separated those two things.
There was a lot.
Maybe you should have, yeah, just a little bit.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, Scott said we're all allowed to make mistakes. I made a mistake, so it's fine.
Oh, we're gonna cancel you now.
Amy,
Amy,
you're too amazing to make a mistake. You made a conupance. I can't even say the word. Whatever. That's it, yeah.
It's a whole new word.
A whole new word. I'm creating words out here, people. That's how awesome I am. Getting back to the one of the other stories, corporate's gonna corporate. I hate saying that, but it's just, we're gonna hear. We all know we're gonna hear this about Activision soon. We know this. We're gonna hear this probably about Ubisoft soon, and every other big corporate company out there. And we're gonna fucking complain. We're gonna whine. We're gonna cry. Well, maybe not cry. We're gonna get angry, and we're gonna do all these things of flipping all these people off and everything. And it's disgusting. And I hate that this happens and everything. Especially when Microsoft, you are a flipping $1 trillion company, and you've sacked 10,000 workers, and then you clearly also show that you have terrible basically contract business practices when it comes to contracting people as well, where, you know, I stated when Halo Infinite came out, that shouldn't have come out that year, even if the people said Halo's back, everyone was enjoying it. Amy, you loved it. It was your second game of that year, I think, if I remember rightly. And which is fantastic, but where is it now? No one's talking about it. There's no content. They've done giant leadership change where a guy who used to work there was bitching about them and everything, and it sucks. I hate to see this thing. 10,000 people. We're living in a fucking living crisis. Inflation's in the shitter. People can barely pay their bills, feed themselves, keep themselves warm, and everything. And you have a $2 trillion company sacking 10,000 people just because they can. And you know what's going to be worse? We know we're going to hear the CEOs got a nice big paycheck. And we know that, and that's going to hurt even more, and it's going to annoy us even more, and it's going to piss us off even more. Amy, what have you done to me? I was not like this 3 years ago.
Tune into the podcast episode in May when Microsoft announced their end of year financial results.
There's also, it's a lack of better words here, and it's like there is a good reason for them doing this in terms of they're attempting to and will eventually acquire Activision, so they're slimming down a lot of their costs, so when they do acquire them and they take on all these people, it's not going to be as bad in their financials. Like when like that's partly why they've done this, and I'm not saying it's right. Obviously, I'm not saying it's right. But like entire departments are gone now. Basically, all of their AR and VR teams are gone, from what it sounds like, which is I mean, it is what it is, but it's like, yeah, it's absolutely sucked. Mass layoffs like this are horrible, but then if you look at it from the corporate thing, it's them just slimming down to when they take in all of this new talent. And I'm assuming a lot of this is from the Bethesda stuff as well, when they took on a lot of people from Bethesda. It sucks. Anyone losing their job, it sucks. I'm not defending the company in any way. I'm just trying to provide a perspective of corporately, that's probably factoring into that decision, as well as them just being like, yeah, look, we've made record profits and blah, 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 blah.
You heard it here first, people. Scott Sedman is a corporate steve.
I am Microsoft. I literally have a tattoo that says I am property of Microsoft.
Surprise! And then he just hits a big red button and his background changes to the Xbox logo.
Boom! I am Phil Spencer's son. I can definitely make those powerful changes. Honestly,
is he Boris Johnson it saying he doesn't know who this child is?
I'll BJ it, yeah. I'll BJ it.
Interesting turn of phrase.
Boris Johnson, icon of the UK.
Yeah, not wrong.
The worst thing is though what you're saying. Like, I understand everything what you just said, though, Scott. But this time next year, we're going to hear them doing it again to the Activision employees who they've just acquired and everything. And that's the thing about it. Like, them slimming down.
They will continue to slim down. Until the industry is unionized and has proper union protections from shit like this. Like, it's going to be constant. Big games are going to come out. The studios are going to make shitloads of money. Sure, tons of people are going to get laid off. That's been the cycle for ever.
Yeah, also, I think they just invested like 10 billion into AI, right?
Yeah, that's why I hate the fucking, and Moody knows this because I talk about it all the time. The fucking the cop out of like, oh, buy a AAA game and support the developers. Like, it's not going to help. They're getting sacked. Like a bunch of them are getting sacked either way, and they already got paid. But no, like for me as well, like what you both saying, like Scott, no one with two brain cells is going to think you're defending Microsoft by explaining the situation. But
I was joking.
Moody was joking. Moody, you've made some excellent points about that as well. And like to just tie it all in with like everything that's going on at Microsoft, I just want to remind everybody that like there's a lot of people pushing back on the FTC investigation about it, Microsoft's Activision buyout by saying, oh, but they're going to bring them in and make the company culture better. No. Now, we talked about this last year, and I was like, I don't know if that's true. And I'll ask the question again. Are they, though? Because it doesn't sound like that's their thing. We're now up to four different Xbox game studios where we've heard that they're being mismanaged, that they've got toxic cultures, that things are going wrong, that people are leaving constantly. Like, are they? I think they might. I think what's probably going to happen is they might just fire Bobby Kotick and then pretend everything's great.
I think a lot of Activision Blizzard have got to go. To be fair, I don't think they've been too public with how toxic that is. So I think yes, Bobby Kotick's got to go. I don't think he'll go straight away. But then I also think you've got to address it. Activision Blizzard at the very least. I can't see a world in where Activision Blizzard keeps going the way they keep going.
I can. Okay. They just made a lot of money from the last Call of Duty game. They can do whatever the hell they want. The thing is, like I said, what you just said, like Amy, about the cultures and everything, everything that everyone's been saying, Microsoft are going to fix this, they're going to fix that. No. They haven't got their shit in house. In the set of 3 stories that we talked about last year, which I just want to state, to my knowledge, not a single one of the big Xbox podcasts out there talked about, because they didn't want to talk about it whatsoever. Everwild, been rebooted, completely a mess right now. Perfect Dark is a complete mess, basically. You have to bring in another studio to help try and fix this game. And State of Decay 3 has huge problems with mismanagement and poor working practice conditions. And the new head of 343 Industries had to come out and defend, saying, no, we're not stopping Halo games or anything like that. We're not creating a new IP. We're staying Halo. Halo is our bread and butter and everything like that. And I'm just like, that's the thing about when things just start going crazy out of control, where the head of a studio has to come out and say, no, we are not doing this. And that's the thing about Phil Spencer is clearly not the magic man. And I'm sure he's the head, so it all lands on him at the end of the day.
Yeah,
He's
accountability,
the boss
right?
and everything. He's the one who's good by the end and head accountable. And like with all those people who like what you and me talked about, I don't know if it was the beginning of last year, me, or if it was the year before, where we talked about the big team of diverse people he brought in and everything. Seeing like he had a mixture of ethnicities and sexual and different sexes and everything for this team who were going to help him create a great space for Xbox, look after the teams he has underneath him and everything like that. Clearly, that has not worked at all, and clearly they need to sort their shit out and everything like that. How long was it? Like everyone knew. Turn 10. We know you. No, not 10. Play down games. We know you created a Fable game before it was eventually announced. And if everyone knew they were playing, it was a Fable game. Everybody knew it, and then they eventually announced it. When what we heard from it since, nothing. Now it's because they're still hiring for it right now. There's places up for to online. Go on their site, you'll see. They got the ones for Car Division or RPG Division, and it's. They're all. I think a lot of studios are all over the place. So when everyone was like complaining a little bit last year, where you fought back against a little bit, Amy, where like saying, "What do you mean? That okay? They didn't talk about a lot of things, but they didn't need to because they've totally told you about everything," which I agreed with you. But at the same time, it's like I don't think they've got their shit in order, and they're a bit of a mess, and they're being very, very, very quiet right now because. They don't want to let any little shit come out. And obviously, the whole Activision, Sony trying to fight this thing as hard as they can and everything. They've got that obviously behind them. But I think behind the scenes, Xbox is a mess.
Hey, sorry, go on, Scott.
No, I was just going to say, you look at this developer direct, it was a Xbox and Bethesda direct. 4 of it was, 2 of it was Microsoft, 3 of it was Bethesda. And the better stuff out of it was Bethesda. Forza didn't get a release date. Why didn't Forza get a release date?
That shocked me a little bit.
I was shocked they did that. Like, or at least even a target window. They just said 2023. I'm like, why did you do that? Did you feel you needed to show that? Because, yeah, and then Minecraft Legends, again, it's just like, all right. But, like, the actual meat and substance from that thing was a Shadow Drop by Tango Gameworks, which is a great game. And then you've got the Redfall, which... I think is Microsoft's biggest game probably since Halo Infinite. I'm going to say that, maybe. I don't think there's been anything else in between there.
In terms of, like, AAA versus versus indie, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is, yeah.
And so even considering that Minecraft Legends is coming out before it, I don't consider Minecraft Legends in that space. You know, I just don't think the marketing's been there. I don't think the messaging's been there. And it has been too quiet. It has been all too quiet on the Western Front. And it's like, see what I did there? That was a movie reference. But I don't know. Microsoft is the company I go to, right? Like I have the Xbox and stuff. Like that's my platform. So I want them to succeed as someone who is invested in their platform. But it does just sound like every day or every week at the very minimum, there's another news story about how something has been mismanaged. And I think you have to look at it there from a corporate structure at this point. And it is. Are they just being allowed to do what they want without free reign? Is there a mandate from Microsoft that's causing these issues? And why isn't it being fixed? We had that with Xbox One, where there just wasn't any good games. And we were told that the Xbox Series, everyone was planning for the Xbox Series. And we're now, however many years into the Xbox Series, and we've had a handful of titles released. None of them have been the spectacular titles we hoped for. Halo Infinite, yes, I love the campaign at the time, but it's like it hasn't left a lasting impression. Like I've still got things from the PS4 because that was my last Sony console that still leave an impression on me today, you know. And Xbox isn't hitting that. They're not even giving me enjoyable multiplayer games like they used to, you know. And so I think there is definitely a clear issue. And I'm not just trying to shit on Microsoft because it's the popular thing to do. It's a company I care about. Well, it's a company I care about their games, I should say. I don't really care about if Microsoft as a corporation, but as people who make games and games I enjoy, I want to see them succeed and not release mid-games, which is why Hi-Fi Rush has been such a treat, because it's Tango Gameworks, which they make every game they've made I've loved, and so this is no exception. And it is just a breath of fresh air in a sea of, or a miasma of just bad news after bad news. And I think the fact that the Bethesda has been carrying them with Deathloop and like Ghostwire will fit in next month or in March, and it's like, what's going on with Microsoft?
The thing is,
Game
though, when it comes to those two games, what you've just stated there, sadly, I think Deathloop kind of fell on deaf ears when it came to Xbox. I think Ghostwire is going to do the same, sadly, just because
Oh, in terms of the wider conversation, almost certainly. But like in terms of just me as a consumer who like now I have a reason to like be playing a game on my Xbox again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no doubt about it. I understand where you're coming from with that, but that's what I'm saying. That's the shame. That's the same shame thing about it when it comes to Xbox right now. Like, I think it's been a good sort to maybe even go into the showcase overall.
Yeah, I feel like we've already done that.
I think we're already
we're already there.
But like, it's good.
Minecraft Legends, I think that's going to be absolutely fine. They've got the Minecraft audience. They will be fine when it comes to that. I understand where you're coming when the marketing and everything like that. Marketing could always be better and everything like that. I think for a lot of things and everything. Forza Motorsport, I completely agree. I was like, where the fuck is this release date? What are you doing?
Yeah,
I 2023
for this.
Like, hey, it's supposed to be coming out before June. Like, that's what they said.
They're saying. Yeah. That makes me think it isn't.
And it's like everything else in that thing. What was the latest date? May?
June. Elder Scrolls Online Necrom June 20th. Okay. Redfall May 2nd.
Yeah, everything they said that they showed at E3 last year
yeah.
was all going to be out by June this year.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you've got Starfield that's meant to be still coming out.
Now that is supposed to get its own developer direct showcase. So yeah,
is it? Oh, I didn't know that. Off the internet, people.
Yeah, they said it beforehand. They said like, we're not doing Starfield. It's gonna have its own thing because they're gonna do a big, huge thing.
I just feel like we know very
good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea.
That's a cracking idea. PlayStation did that with a few of their big titles, and I think it got a lot of people in to play those games and everything like that. So that's actually a really good idea for them. Elder Scrolls has the Elder Scrolls audience. People who love that franchise, love that online franchise, works for them, and they already got that. Redfall's the work game I am worried about.
It's got to be good.
I think it's going to be good for people who like that type of game. I think it'll get the audience at the beginning, and then it'll slowly crash and burn, just like all the other types of games do for this. Personally, I say this straight away. I hope I'm bloody wrong. I'm
everything like that. Redfall.
But with a game that they've said, like I watched the thing. They said they've put a lot of passion into this. Everyone's loved what they've been getting into and whatnot, and that's what I want to see in everything for it. But I have not been interested in this game when I first saw it. I was literally like, ugh. For me personally, and yeah, it's a game might not be for me. It's not screaming for me. It may work for other people. That is fantastic and fine. But I want it to succeed. I want these things to succeed. I'm just worried. I think, thank God, it's on Game Pass, because I think if it wasn't, I think this would die
that is
really fast.
I would not be buying
which is a shame.
Yeah,
you were going to say something, Amy. I apologize.
How dare you all talk about one of my favorite studios like this?
Arcane are fantastic. Prey still doesn't get enough love, in my opinion.
Not immersive sims never get enough love. People don't like them, and that boggles my mind. But I was gonna say, like you said, this type of game, and I was gonna ask what type of game, because it's hard to tell. Like if you watch a Redfall thing, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch the thing last night, so I didn't even watch the Redfall trailer that came out, and like it looks like one type of game, which is Back 4 Blood, Left 4 Dead type thing, as Moody, as you've talked about in the past before. But they talk about it in like interviews and when they do developer diaries on YouTube and stuff. Like, it's not just that; it's a different type of game. And I'm like, okay, cool. But like every time Moody says he's seen a trailer or a video, like a trailer for it, like it comes back to being a Left 4 Dead / Back 4 Blood looking game. And I'm like, if that's the case, and it's not just that type of game, you're not marketing it very well, because everybody just assumes it's Left 4 Dead, but with vampires.
I remember one thing they said last week. Last night was it's kind of like they've got aspects in. Hey, let me finish what I said. Far Cry-ish, where you
I get that
sections.
Yeah. No, I get that. That
do
makes
that
sense.
type of thing. That type of thing. But then I'm just thinking, that's been still for a long time, unless it's with an IP that you really care about. Hey, go Spider-Man. The last Spider-Man had very much the same type of gameplay, but because same
the Ubi Box
style,
game, right?
But because what you could do as Spider-Man, swinging across to go and do the thing, to get to do the things and everything, that was enjoyable for a lot of people. I think that type of thing. This is what I think, and I think they're also hoping on the vampire aspect of it. Like they tried to do little jokes of bite me or whatever it is for their thing for me. And I think they're trying to kind of do the thing what Resi did the year before, or not the year before, the year after, 2 years ago, Resident Evil Village with sexy lady, tall vampire lady, and like that, but they don't have a sexy tall vampire lady to get everyone to say "step on me, please, mommy," and everything like that in this game. If they are, they're hiding her really badly, and that's really bad. Show us now to get us interested in everything. Because right now, for me, nothing is again. Hard mode type of games, Left 4 Dead type of games don't appeal to me whatsoever. That isn't me and everything like that. And it does have an audience, but I don't think the audience is big enough for to sustain the game, which is disappointing. And again, it goes what you just said, Amy. Are they marketing in this game right? Especially when they're saying, we've got new things, did everything like this.
Well, the key thing for me is I thought it was going to go for a live service route. I think it's a live service game.
Who even knows? Because the thing is, you think it is, but you don't know it is.
Oh, no,
and that's the problem.
And there's like rarity tiers.
4 months away from release.
None of us really know, and that is a problem.
And hey, I'll be the first person to jump on an arcade game. I fucking love arcade games. But just to wrap this section up, because we are pretty much out of time for the new stuff, and we have to move on to the final section of the podcast. All I'm going to say is, when Redfall is amazing, I'll see you all in hell.
Oh, I'll be there. I'll be in Redfall with you.
Amy, I'll say this right now.
It's a joke.
I believe this is multiplayer. I will play this with you.
I really love playing games with you, but when we play Back 4 Blood together, I don't want to put you through that, and I don't want you to put me through that.
Well, if you ever need a hand,
Scott, check out the clips.
I actually kind
there
of
are clips online.
He didn't enjoy it.
I'll give you a hand, guys. I'll give you a hand. It's fine.
I actually lost my mind.
He did.
There's video footage of it.
Anyway,
I'm going to watch that.
It is times for Games Out This Week highlights. Amy's sick of reading every single fucking game that comes out every week, while Moody has a snoozing nap because it takes ages. So what I've decided to do is I'm just going to go through the highlights. Here are games that are cool, that look cool, that might be cool. One of them's got pretty decent reviews because the reviews came out today. But there's 2 games coming out next week that popped out and spoke to me, which is Season, A Letter to the Future, which is coming on January 31st on PlayStation 5 and PC, and Deliver Us Mars, which is coming on February 2nd on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Discuss.
Without being ignorant, is Deliver Us Mars related to Deliver Us to the Moon in any way?
It is, I think.
Oh, okay. I hope so, because I actually really like Deliver Us to the Moon.
I never played that one, but we watched one of the trailers that came with one of the many shows that happened last year, and I think me and Moody both kind of looked at it and went, actually, this trailer's pretty good. Like, it got me into the game, and I know Moody's forgotten it. He forgets everything.
And the latter one, I think, is the bike guy with glasses.
Biking around, and it's the end of the world, and you take photos and go on a...
I didn't know it was post-apocalypse. I must have missed.
It's a super chill game. It's like post-apocalypse, but it's not like, oh no, we have to save the world. It's like
the world.
I don't know, but yeah, it is post-apocalypse. I played a demo of it at the Steam Next Fest last year, and it was pretty chill, and it was pretty cool. So I was interested to play more of it.
I think Google Chrome just shut the bed on my end.
But then like Tango Gameworks dropped a game out of nowhere, and now I don't I wrote this fucking thing with these games in it, and then I caught up on the Xbox news, and now there's like a whole other game that I want to play. So now I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna be doing next week. Thanks, Xbox.
I mean, you get to pet a cat in Hi-Fi Rush, so if that's...
I'm already swayed by the game. And
it's really fun. I think the loop is there, and when you actually get into the vibe of the... Like, once you hit your rhythm, it's very addicting.
Dead Space.
And then you lose the rhythm, and then you're reminded your shit of the game.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be terrible at the game, but Dead Space definitely isn't getting a look into this, right?
Amy, admit it. You wanna watch me play that, and you play it
do.
at this moment in time.
I do.
so-
Maybe I'll quarry it, or I just watch you play the game.
Are we gonna go through sexy Pokemon again? Are we?
Oh God,
actually-
no,
I'm
no,
actually
we're never
not.
doing that again, ever.
That went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Both these games, I think, are actually really interesting. I look for. I had seasons a letter for future on my Critic game, Fantasy Critic last year until it got delayed. The bastards. But
Now I have
no
it.
problem. Now you have it. I didn't go for it, so I didn't care. But I'm looking forward to it. I intend to buy it next week, so it's going to be looking forward to that. And Deliver Us from Mars, like that has that is that a sequel in it?
It is, yes. That was
so
Deliver
like
Us from the
it
Moon.
it has an audience and everything, so I think it's going to be something very interesting for a lot of people.
Cool. Anyway, it's
Video game.
time for the final part of the podcast. Open Critic head-to-head. Scott, you probably don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, so let's explain the rules. This is the game we play every week where we try to guess the Open Critic average of one or sometimes more upcoming games. Whoever guesses closest to the score at the time of recording next week gets a point. If you manage to guess the score correctly, you get 2 points. Last week, we guessed, it was like 2 episodes ago. We tried to guess the Open Critic average of 2 upcoming games. At the time, they were upcoming games. The first one was Fire Emblem Engage, and the second one was Dead Space. At the time of recording for Fire Emblem Engage, I guessed it would get an 88. Moody guessed it would get an 85. Vitz guessed it would get an 87. And at the time of recording, Fire Emblem Engage has an Open Critic average of 83, which means Moody gets a point. And we also tried to guess the Open Critic average of Dead Space remake, in brackets. I guessed it would get an 83. Moody guessed it would get a 90. Vitz guessed it would get a 77. And at the time of recording, Dead Space has an Open Critic average of 89, which means Moody gets the point and puts Moody into the lead with 2 points, because this is the first time we've done this.
Very nice. It's a very cool
I
concept.
mean, it's fun.
Very cool concept.
It's fun. You just guess the score, and it's
numbers.
and it's completely random because you've got any idea what the fucking reviews are going to be.
No, I've not played any of these games. Technically, I've played Dead Space, but
Moody,
it's
yeah,
different.
Moody's gonna brag
I'm
about being in the
I'm very
lead,
excited
and
to watch Moody stream Dead Space now.
even though this is gonna happen, you know what, Moody? The same thing is gonna happen. You're gonna go, and then I'm gonna go, and then you're gonna go, because that's what we do. Somehow, you're muted. You're muted.
Good conversation.
Where was I? How funny
There
would
you
it be
go.
is that we and me stay low and the guest just runs away with it?
I would love that.
I would love that as well.
I would
That'd be
love that.
pretty
But so far, Vitz has let the side down on that regard.
Fits, man.
So,
Fits.
so maybe Scott can break the
So Scott, the bar ain't high.
The bar is low. The bar is
I've
very
got to get
low.
A.
Very low.
My goal is A point. That's my goal here.
Well, there you go. Then. Let's go. Let's.
If I
fucking
can
go.
get a
So, yeah,
point
we-
that matches the number of hands I have, there you go.
So yeah, like me and Moody have our own little thing, have our scores, and then what I do is I put the guests, because we have different guests on all the time, so I put all the guests into one, and you have a collective score. So the aim is like you all work together to beat Moody.
Oh well, now that's just include. Like I just want to self-sabotage this at this point. And just tank
I mean,
them.
you can do that if you want. Like,
No.
There's no rules. There's no rules
It's
to
like
this game.
completely ruin the entire.
Me
year
and
of
Moody
content.
once guessed the same score for a game just to make it a draw for no real reason. But anyway,
Oh, yeah, it is. Stand up.
this week we're going to guess the Open Critic average of Deliver Us Mars, because reviews for season started dropping like 3 hours before this podcast started recording. So that was fun. Thanks for
Really
that.
early, yeah.
Yeah.
A week before that shows how confident they are in this, which is really incredible.
So yeah, we're going to guess the Open Critic average of Deliver Us Mars. And Scott,
Gonna go
you
with
get the honor of
92.
going first.
I'm gonna be very optimistic and go 92.
92. Okay.
92?
I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna be optimistic.
92. Deliver Us Mars. Imagine. That'd be amazing. Dead Space would never be getting played. If Deliver Us Mars got a 92 on Open Critic next week, Dead Space is just going back.
Dead Space is dead to her.
Dead Space is just going back, so I'd be like, fucking, I can play this. I am going to guess 75. Moody. I honestly think going first might be worse.
You know where I'm going, Amy.
69. 69. You're going 69.
No,
Oh,
76.
okay.
I think this will get a higher review score than Deliver Us the Moon. But Deliver Us the Moon has a 74. I was going to originally go 75. I won't deny that.
Okay.
That's why I give you the evil eyes.
I do. You know me, Mary. I'm very cynical about game reviewers in general, and the scores that they give games that aren't AAA games.
True.
After the Lake incident.
Yeah.
So
Lake, one of the best games of the year, and
69.
The insults.
69. And I took that personally.
You did. You really
And
did.
I started blasting.
But like me saying 70, for me saying 75, I'm like, this game's going to be cool, and I think I might like it based on everything I've seen of it. But I was looking at it going, 75 for me feels optimistic for where I think the open critic average is going to land. But hey, I hope Scott's right, personally.
I'm very optimistic about it. To be fair, I did
be...
very much enjoy Deliver Us the Moon. So
maybe that would blow our minds if it was a 92, because that's just like, that's going to be dubbed one of the highest rated games of the year. And I'll say it right now. It won't get
True, I
have
gone very.
And I'll say this right now: it won't get voted for the video game awards for best game.
No, it won't.
No. I bet you if we sat here, right, bearing in mind we have to end the podcast, but if we sat here for the next 10 minutes, we could accurately guess what the Game of the Year nomination is going to be at the Game Awards at the end of the year, just based on what's coming out this year.
Yeah,
that's how fucking predictable they are. And on that note, it's time to end the podcast, episode 336. I hope everybody's had fun watching it or listening to it. Moody, thanks for joining me. Scott, thanks for jumping in. It's been fun.
Pleasure. I had a lot of fun. I haven't talked video games like this in a long time, and it was good. It was very good.
Well, I think
got beautiful faces.
You are more than welcome to come back on, sir.
Yeah.
Well,
anytime you need.
We'll book you in.
We'll book you in.
Yeah.
I'll have a different ship.
I'll get my people, Moody, to talk to your people.
Yeah, you're gonna go through my mum now. I'm a big fan.
I got you. Yeah, sure. Right, Moody, you know what to do.
I know how to flirt with older women. That's good.
All right, awesome.
She'd love you, Moody. She really would.
Everybody loves Moody.
He is a lovable person.
He's a very lovable person.
Aww. Smell the bullshit behind all of it.
Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Reach for the sky, Pete boys.